toi.
Chez moi, oh, en bas, c'est oh, avec mes puissants. Dis ça encore. Cachez-moi, Seigneur, cachez-moi. En bas, ouvrez-moi, Seigneur, ouvrez-moi, Papa, avec mes puissants. Dis ça. Les vagues va passer avec. Papa m'gain contre. Ma brève tranquille. On est. Ma brève tranquille. Ça les vagues ont monté. Les vagues ont monté. Ça va passer avec. voulez faire un bagage neuf avec wa soya. Hey, il voulait faire un bagage neuf avec wa soya. Il voulait faire un bagage neuf avec wa soya. Ma prête, tranquille, tranquille. Ma prête, tranquille, posé. Bagage neuf pour wa soya. Dis ça, les vagues ont monté. Passer. Papa. les moins ouais l'innocent à cracher au nom la gloire ouais pas les chants chanter à mourir. C'est dans sa main, Papa, joint tout droit. C'est merveilleux, c'est admirable. Papa, chanter, et pour toujours. C'est merveilleux, c'est admirable. En nous, Jésus, Your presence is heaven to me. Your presence is heaven to me. Your presence is heaven to me. I often imagine this song like John when he was exiled on the island and he had a bunch of visions and he was seeing things, he was seeing visions of the heavens. Et Sylvia Haïtienne t'a dit ça. Ouais, ciel là, les morts sont sous. Ouais, fait vision, ciel là, les morts sont sous. Vous voulez dire la même? Right now, sans sous, on est là, on allait, dis-moi ouais, ciel là, les montées, sans sous, ouais, ciel là, les montées, sans sous. C'est à souhait tout et nous brosser, si Seigneur, si nous pas ouais, comme nous croyons, si dans l'esprit nous croyons, si dans l'esprit nous croyons. malade, t'es là devant Jésus, dans grande douleur. Bientôt, yo allez avec joie. En pile malade, t'es là, amen, devant Jésus. En pile malade, t'es là devant Jésus, dans grande bénis-nous tous en abondance et assois bénis-nous tous en abondance.
Je suivrai mon Seigneur et mon Maître, sans jamais m'éloigner de ses pas, sans que rien ici-bas ne m'arrête, et sans rien que le chant de sa voix. Tous ensemble. Je suivrai mon Seigneur et mon Maître, sans jamais m'éloigner de ses bras, sans que rien ici-bas ne m'arrête, et sans rien que le chant de sa voix. Je vivrai de bonheur et de grâce, de l'amour que son cœur m'a donné, et que rien ici-bas ne l'efface. C'est le vœu de mon âme assoiffée. Un seul instant auprès de toi, vaut bien les heures et la route. Tout pour autant que ce soit toi qui m'accompagne au parvis de ta joie. Je suivrai mon Seigneur et mon Maître, sans jamais m'éloigner de ses pas, sans que rien ici-bas ne m'arrête, et sans rien que le chant de sa voix. Je vivrai de bonheur et de grâce, de l'amour que son cœur m'a donné, et que rien ici-bas ne l'efface. C'est le vœu de mon âme assoiffée. Un seul instant auprès de toi, vaut bien les heures et la route. Tout pour autant que ce soit toi qui m'accompagne au parvis de ta joie. Je suivrai mon Seigneur et mon Maître, sans jamais m'éloigner de ses bras, sans rien que le chant de sa voix, et sans rien que le chant de sa voix, et sans rien que le chant de sa voix.
Quel que soit problème qui devant l'Éternel plus grand passé, s'il était fan la mer rouge là, li ka fait le tour, maladie ça ka plongé là, Rafa pi fort passer li. C'était guéri, femme belle, descend, li ka fait ça tout rien pas plus, facile, rien pas qu'à rivaliser, li c'est premier, dernier, c'est vrai Dieu, oui c'est vrai Dieu. Bon Dieu, non, on n'est pas impossible pour lui. Il était changé de l'eau en divin. Il a guéri, maladie ou là. Il est capable, changer situation là, ouais, ça. Rien pas plus facile, rien pas qu'à rivaliser. Lycée premier, dernier, salve Dieu, il salve Dieu.
Good afternoon, family. Good afternoon and happy Sabbath again. It's still the Sabbath, and we are happy to have some of you already are joining the call. And I see we have a couple of our guests already joined us, so welcome. As you all already know, this month we have been talking in celebration of Women's Month. We've been talking about women, who we are, why we were created, our different roles in the church, in society, in the home, everywhere, and all the things that we do, all the roles that we have, and all the hats that we wear on a daily basis. We've also covered some of the challenges that we face as women and how we can find more support in our friends and families. And this afternoon, to close out this month of celebration in honor of women, we have several, powerful women that we have invited. Some of them have already spoken to us in the past, and we have new ones that we will be listening to this afternoon, and we will be asking questions and, be conducting this interactive discussion about women's health. So yeah, we are going to talk about women's health. And I don't know how many men in the audience that are on the Zoom right now have ever taken the time to wonder what happens, about women's health. Like, what is it? What does it involve? Like, when we say we are not feeling well, do they have any idea what may be going on and how they can best try to understand and support us? So I think it is important, to bring this topic, not for us women to ask our questions and to put our doubts on the table, but also to give men a chance to ask questions and to partake in that important discussion about us and how we feel and how they can better support us to feel better. So without further ado, I will invite you all to bow our heads for a short word of prayer. Dear gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for your love. We thank you for your mercy. We thank you for creating us women, wonderful women. We thank you for the courage and the strength that you have blessed us with to carry out all the responsibilities that you have placed upon our hearts and in our hands to do. So as we gather together once more as a family and as friends, we ask that your Holy Spirit and your faithful presence be with us as we talk, as we discuss, as we learn, and as we, move forward together. We ask that you open our minds, that you give us understanding, and that you allow us to be open, to be honest and sincere as we talk to each other. Bless us and help those that are on the way to be here. And we want to lift a special prayer for some women on the family that are not feeling well. And we want to lift especially Tracy, who is in the hospital right now. And we ask that your hands of blessing and healing and soothing touch her in a special way so that she can feel your presence and she can feel your loving arm all wrapped around her right now. I ask these in the precious name of Jesus. Amen. Can you all hear me clearly? Can someone say yes if they hear me clearly?
Yes.
Yes.
So cute. Perfect. Thank you. I know. Thank you. I will be giving a brief introduction to some of our speakers. This afternoon, we will be talking about women's health. Women's health is a huge topic because there are so many important aspects of our health that would take us a long time to discuss. However, we want to dedicate this hour or this hour and a half, however long it takes, depending on how interactive and how many questions we have. We're going to take this moment that we have together to ask important questions that you guys may have. So I'm gonna, okay, I think my camera turned off because I'm trying to read from my phone. So just bear with me as I introduce the speakers. So first off, I would like to welcome back Dr. Michael Pierre. We know she spoke to us on the second Sabbath of the month about women's mental health, touching especially topics of anxiety and depression. You know, she's a family therapist. She's the owner of Balance Therapy Institute, and she's a Christian family and marriage therapist. And she also served as the clinical director at Broward With Treatment Center, a treatment center that houses different adolescents, male around the age of 13 to 19, who are going through mental health disorders and substance abuse. So, Michael, welcome. I'm not sure if you joined us already, but we want to welcome you back to our family to get together. And we have also Joanna Millard. She's a counseling psychologist, PhD candidate at the University of Missouri, Columbia. She's a Haitian. Her research focuses on multicultural and social justice topics, such as looking into how race and career intersect with gender and immigrant identity. But for the purpose of this presentation this afternoon, she will discuss the intersections between social identities and effective communication, more looking into, you know, how women are often honored for their loving natures toward others, but more often than not, we are also neglected and unsupported. So she will be working us through how we can implement self-love and self-care in order to renew our strength as we continue on our mission to do God's work and serve our fellow men. I will turn it over to Claudia so she can introduce us our next speaker, which is Nadine.
Good afternoon, family. Good afternoon. So this afternoon, among the others panelists, we have Nadine Massillon. She is a nurse practitioner. There's her beautiful self. She is a nurse practitioner. She is married. She has 2 children. When I asked Nadine about her bio, what I should say about her, she said, just tell them I love to laugh and I have fun. That's all she wanted you guys to know about her. But I will add that she's a nurse practitioner and well-versed in the subject. So we will have good information from her. And yeah, that is Nadine.
Thank you, Claudia. Thank you. And I also think we will have someone else of the name of Gabrielle. She will be talking to us. She's going to come in as a guest, and she will be talking, you know, she will bring her expertise. She will touch on different topics, and she will be willing and available to answer any question we have, or just give us any of the input on any question that may be asked. I'm not sure if she has joined us yet, but I just want to welcome Gabrielle to this discussion. I think we're going to call it like a family Zoom round table. All right, so here is the format of the discussion. So I would like to turn it over to our guests right now. I would like for, I don't think Michael is here yet. She may be in another meeting. I would like for Nadine to go first, and then Johanna may go first, may go second if Michael is not there yet, and then Gabrielle will go. We'll just take turn for you guys, allowing you guys to share a couple of minutes of your topic of discussion. And then after all the speakers have given share their expertise, then we will open the floor up to the public to ask questions. You may go, Nadine. Welcome.
Hi, guys. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, Soso. Hi, Mama. Hi, Claudia.
It's
Hi,
good to see
Nancy
you.
Ward. And hi, everybody. How are you? I don't hear anything. How are you guys?
We are
We're
Good,
good.
we are good.
Okay,
Happy
perfect.
you.
So, my name is Nadine. I'm not too much into women's health, but c'est fumier. So, nous connaissons bagay de kono. So, nous avons juste parlé rapide. Claudia te dit, moi, pas prendre plus que 10 minutes. Si nous avons commencé à aller, just stop me, please. Because once I start, I can't stop. Okay?
All right.
So, so Claudia te demandé pour me parler de dysmenorrhea, fibroid, and hormonal imbalance, and the relationship between our hormones and our mental health as women. I'm just gonna brush it off real quick. I'm sure you guys are gonna have questions, and if I have the answer, I'll answer, and if I don't, I'll tell you I do not, and I can Google real quick. Don't worry, I'll Google it. So let's talk first about dysmenorrhea. Again, I'm just gonna brush up everything. Dysmenorrhea, what is it? Nous toutes filles, we experience dysmenorrhea. It's just mean painful menstruation. So when we have our period, we have some pain. Some of us can deal with it and some of us can't. It may be too much for us, but gen lot condition qui ka cause ki yo gen dysmenorrhea. Like if you have fibroids, which is on the topic, Claudia, brush off real quick. Fibroid can also cause dysmenorrhea and some other conditions. I'm not gonna go too much into details, but there's a lot of things qui ka cause que nous même filles nous gagnons problème là nous gagnons période nous, okay? And gagnons l'autre condition qui est endometriosis. Say when we have, like this round, that this is our uterus pour fille, c'est ça nous les matrices nous, and then part of the uterus, like some tissues, yo attaché dans l'autre partie dans organe nous qui can cause endometriosis and also qui can cause dysmenorrhea. And we also have fibroids. Real quick, fibroids. What are fibroids? It's just growth. Nous kon gade parler de moun di yo gen cancer na matrice, yo gen this, yo gen that. Fibroid is not cancer, but it's just abnormal growth of the cells. And again, say hormone nou ki gen doit cause ça et ki moun ki gen ki at risk pour faire fibroid. De pour ces filles, you can have fibroids. Mostly women ki nan l'âge pour yo faire ti moun. We are at risk of having fibroids. Again, the fibroids we have, you're capable ennuyer no, okay? It depends on their size and where they're located. But sometimes they grow so much que en pile fille obligé ces opérations pour yo faire, pour yo retirer fibroids là. And also fibroid gen doit cause en pile nous même filles tout, pas fait petit. On l'autre problème fille qu'on gen fibroids when they have their period, they bleed a lot. So you can bleed a lot when you have your fibroids. And when you bleed a lot, what could happen? You can become anemic. And sometimes some of us, I have friends, des fois qui obligés à aller prendre blood transfusion because they are, you're tellement saigné when they're on their period que their level is so low, they have to have blood transfusion. And at one point, you're obligé to faire surgery to remove those fibroids. And now let me go quick to hormonal imbalance and mental health. Right now, we're living the time of COVID. Yes, no, once in a while, I feel like, oh my gosh, look what COVID does to me. Because of COVID, I can't see my friends, I can't do anything, but I have to tell you, I still do my thing. I wear my mask, I stay 6 feet apart. I'm living my life, okay? COVID or not, I have to live. If you don't live, you're gonna die. Depression up to you, please. So, and for me, parenthèse. Okay, so nous get social media qui for young people qui expose en pile à mental illness. Because of social media, pile moun now they feel free, they feel more comfortable to talk about what they're going through life. And I was reading a study. The title of the article is Mental Health of Children and Young People. It says since 2017, 12% of young people age 5 to 19, could you believe that? Age 5, okay? Age 5 to 19, they experience at least one type of mental disorder. So can imagine Timon 5 ans going through it, ADHD, depression, and all that. And like I said, social media is just making it worse because our young people are getting bullied at school, and they're also getting bullied in social media from their friends. You have TikTok, all this, that app, the little cat. What's the name again? Oh, I forgot. But anyway, so what is it?
Snapchat.
Snapchat. Yes, thank you. So everywhere, and our kids, you're not two platforms, Sayo, and of course they are getting bullied, which can affect their self-esteem. And also, not only we have the social media, and we have us young women like teenagers and up 30s, 40s. We have our hormones also qui ba nou problem, okay? Hormone, what do they do? Mkone la nou di hormone apil nan nou, we think of sex hormones like pour garçon testosterone or women estrogen, but I have to tell you that our body have more than 50 different types of hormones. What do our hormones do? C'est eux mêmes qui censé help our body function. So they send signal, there are chemicals, and they send signal to our bloodstream, and those messages tell the organs of our body what to do to stay alive and to stay healthy. And like everything else, si balance lan li pa normal, if it's up or lower, what's going to happen? Li affecte kwa, and non li affecte kwa, what is also affected? It also affects our hormone. Garçons souffrent hormonal imbalance, but not as much as women. You know why? Because nous mêmes filles, we are more sensitive to hormonal fluctuation. And one of the reasons, c'est parce que nous mêmes filles dans la vie, nous expérimentons plus changes with hormone. Qui est-ce qui a période yo? Fille. Qui est-ce qui est enceinte? Fille. Qui est-ce qui a accouché timoun? Qui est-ce qui baille timoun tété? Qui est-ce encore après quelques années qui pas bien période yo? Nous mêmes filles. So ça veut dire throughout our lives, we experience more hormonal events in our lives. So pendant nous expérimenter en pile. Bon, pour exemple, nous pas jamais gade yo di un garçon, oh, this man is so moody, it must be that time of the month. Nope, you pas dit ça. But yet, feel si on ti genre like your mood is not the same, you feel down, you have to, oh, it must be that time of the month. What does that tell you? That hormone qui faut arriver that time of the month, it also affects your mental. You're moody, you're not the same, you do not want to interact with your husband, you don't want to interact with your friend, you want to be left alone because you have all these hormone changes going on through your body. Some hormones work with ma touche avec yo. We have our thyroid hormone, okay? Our thyroid gland c'est li même qui regulate the metabolism of our body. Gen moun ki zopope en pile, no matter what they do, they eat your pajamka bosi, and they have certain features like their eyes are bulging. And moun sayo, why are they like that? Ma pour exemple, fille comme la parler de fille. Why are some women like that? Because their thyroid level, it's their TSH level qui regulate the thyroid gland, li antigen too low. Or your condition is hyperthyroidism, okay? The TSH level is low, and then your thyroid gland, which is the T3 or T4, it's high. Then, le hormone go nou ka remarke an pil nan nou get ti grosse, sa pa ve di ke it's because you have thyroid gland issues, but it could be because you have some hypothyroidism going on. And what happened when you are that low level, which we call hypothyroidism, you gain weight and you feel depressed, you feel anxious. Like I remember when I used to do primary care, if I have a young woman qui vini with symptoms of depression, like I'm eating a lot, I'm sleeping a lot, before you get some happy pills, we're gonna check your thyroid gland, because your thyroid, because it not balanced well, what does it do? It affects your mental health. Now, the main hormone, which is our sex hormone, can relate estrogen. Just like I said before, when we're gonna have our period, we're kind of moody. It's the estrogen level in your body. If it's up, li affecte nou. If it's down, li aussi affecte nou. Again, no lot article mwen tap li di que for women with existing mental health issues, Madame Sayo, 64% of them say their depression worsen 5 to 10 days before they get their period. So before you get your period, your body's going through a lot and it affects your mental health. If you already had depression, if you already have some mental illness, what does it do? It's just make it worse. So mental health and hormonal imbalance, no matter what's going on, if your mental illness is caused by your hormone, say estrogen, or your thyroid gland, or your cortisol level, even your insulin, si c'est your même qui cause your mental illness, like whether you get Prozac, Zoloft, Xanax, Ativan, none of them is gonna help. So what we first need to do is to regulate our hormone levels. Then once we regulate everything, then we could rule out some mental illness disease. So this is all I have for you. If you guys have any questions, once l'autre présentatrice yo fini, then you can ask them, and if I can answer, I'll do my best to answer for you. Thank you.
Nadine. Thank you, Nadine, for such an amazing brief presentation. I am not sure if Michael is here with us. Michael, are you here? It seems like she hasn't been able to join us yet. Johanna, do you mind going now?
Am I allowed to share my screen? Hi, everybody.
Yes.
Okay. First and foremost, I just want to say it's good to see your faces, those of you who have pictures, or if you're able to turn off your camera. I am someone who enjoys interacting with people live and in person. Let me go ahead and share. Okay, so I'm a student at the University of Missouri. And we already talked in my beautiful introduction by Sonita a little bit about what I'm interested in. So I'm really interested in doing mental health work around action. So I'm really happy to be in this space, because what does it matter if majority white men talk about Black psychology in their offices? Like, it has to get to the people. So I'm really excited to be in this space. Gonna be honest, I put this together very quickly just because of my schedule. So if there's any typos, forgive me. And I'll also be able to follow up with additional information as well. And I can give everyone my email. Okay, so I go to MU, spoke about that. I'm a doctoral student, so I'm receiving my PhD, hopefully in about 2 years. I'm originally from New York, born in Brooklyn, in like the little Haiti of Brooklyn. And I was born to 2 Haitian immigrant parents, so I'm Paleonti Creole, but my accent is obviously like an American, so you connais les petits blancs, les malais Haïti. But I will say that being a Haitian is a big part of my identity. And I wanna just focus in on that phrase on the flag, la union fait la force. And I wanna be thinking about that as we're talking today about how this idea of community and togetherness is sometimes contradicted by the messages that women receive. And so mostly what I'm going to be talking about today is women's mental health, specifically around all the different hats that we have to put on. So I know that you all had a presentation earlier about depression and anxiety. So I'll be kind of reviewing some of those, the pressures that we have. How does God's word apply? So I know church service was this morning, but humor me. And if you have your Bibles around, or if you know how to Google Bible verses, please have that available, because I will be asking a little quiz. And then we're going to be taking action. So hopefully there's some takeaways that are going to be helpful for us all today. And that's the part specifically, if you want to follow up with me, if there's a part 2, Sonita, that we need to do, like, let me know, because I'm willing to do workshops and practice with folks, especially around communication of our needs with others. Okay. So very quickly, intersectionality is this idea of things working over each other, with each other. And if you see the rings, this image wasn't the best image that I could find, but if you think of green and yellow, when they overlap, they turn blue, right? So it's not that our life has different parts, they all come together. So when we think about anyone, so I'm gonna ask if everyone's alert and awake, please use the chat function and go ahead and, if one sentence, write down how you would describe yourself. So I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. So when you think about intersectionality, I can say that I'm a Black Haitian woman from New York who plays soccer sometimes. So go ahead, just write that in. Doesn't have to be a sentence, it could just be a few words. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So as I wrote down, I identified myself with my race and my country first and my location. And then as I thought about it, I said, oh no, I'm actually also a Haitian. So if anyone feels comfortable, I'm gonna continue, but go ahead and do like write in what you perceive as your, I lost the slide. Go ahead and write in as what you perceive, or if someone else just wants to just speak and introduce, then that's fine as well. Thanks, James. So I'm pulling up the slides again, I lost them. So I can just be talking about intersectionality as I'm looking for that again. So essentially the reason, amen to tired, the reason why I bring up all of the different hats that we wear on a regular basis is because people like to think about themselves as just a mom or just this person, just that person. But when we think about it, where we're born, where we're raised, our upbringing, our community, all of that has to do with how we think, how we go about life. And so we can't separate one from the other. So specifically thinking about Black Haitians, I also want to be thinking about how does being in America now influence our culture? I think about my mom and my grandmother and how they interacted, and then how, like my mother, for example, my mom has an air fryer and she puts everything in the oven now because it's easier. And I'm trying to learn Haitian food better. I'm gonna send a picture to the Nelson and his family. I cooked maï moulin the other day and I was proud of myself, but my mom wants me to cook things in the oven and use instant pots and things like that. And I'm trying to explain to her that that's not authentic, right? But how does being now in America influence our everyday experience? So just thinking about that. Just keeping in mind solitude. So my sister previously just mentioned COVID and how we've been so isolated. So how is that affecting us as well when we think about community and reaching out to community? Okay. So at this point, I'm going to ask if everyone can just put in, what are some of your favorite verses in the Bible that talk about self-care? So again, that's if you can put that in the chat, or actually if someone can just speak up. I'm not someone who likes to lecture. Just give me one Bible verse.
Okay.
Philippians 4 verse 13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
Good. Okay, perfect. So this idea of that we don't have to do everything, we can rely on Christ. So there is sufficient Bible evidence for rest and why we are not to put it all on our shoulders. And going back to this idea of intersectionality, as a Haitian woman, I was raised to serve others. As a Black woman, I was raised to work harder than others. As a woman, I was in America, right? I was socialized. So how society kind of viewed me was to be more quiet and be in the corner. So there's all these messages. And then we have what does God expect of us? So I have a couple of verses here, or a couple references, I should say, that Jesus devoted time daily, regularly, as often as needed to pray. We think about the Sabbath day, the image of Martha and Mary. And when Jesus was there before, two sisters, one was working and one was listening at his feet. And so what is the call that God has? I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Okay, so this idea that what is the call that God has on us? And as we continue talking, I'll be curious to hear what are some people's difficulties around protecting time for self-care. But I also just want to encourage us to do that, period. And when we say self-care, we talk about regular time that refreshes us, that rejuvenates us. And this is probably something that we have heard over and over again. And the challenge, I believe, around self-care is often protecting it. So again, how can I protect this time that I have with the Lord? So I have a couple minutes. This time goes by so fast. Let me see what else. Okay. So the last couple of things that I want to go through is communicating to others. And so one idea is doing things before others wake up. In general, regardless of whatever time we pick for self-care, the important thing is going to be communication. So for all the men and the children on this call, I saw a couple of children on here. I want to encourage you to be perceptive of these signs. If the woman of your household, or even if you're a man, if you need to communicate something, using some skills. So first we're going to listen to God and we're going to pray about when and where, because sometimes we do have to work hard. So we're going to pray first. We're going to trust God. And so this is the idea between faith and culture. Your boss and your work, and even your family, even your spouse might tell you, do this, do this, do that. And so this is where we're going to listen to God and we're going to trust God. And we're going to have the courage to self-care, to give ourselves a break and rest and kind of push back against that. And specifically thinking about it with the intersectionality, that as women of color, we're going to have more stressors perhaps than the men in our lives, or than the white women, or even lighter skinned women and darker skinned women will have different experiences. So think about how everything overlaps. And then we're going to move, we're going to act. So we're going to communicate, we're going to respond, we're going to do something. So very quickly, assertiveness. First, you're going to state what your needs are, your emotions, your impressions. I'm going to ask one person for an example, maybe in the discussion part. And then you're going to say for the other person, what is your perception of the other person? Like, when you're yelling, I can't speak. I'm going to need you at the third part 3, I'm going to need you to lower your voice so I can share what I think as well. So what do you need to be different? Or maybe you no longer want to do something, or what do you need from that other person? I think the last one, okay. So this is just a last slide about African-centered psychology. And there's a lot of conversation. That's why I infuse scripture into my presentation. There's a big overlap when we think about psychology and people of color with their spirit. Spirit permeates everything. We have to center our culture and our realities
into our psyche. So to just tell a Black Haitian woman to go relax is not realistic. So we're going to consider our values, our traditions. I'll stop talking for now, and hopefully we'll come back later. Thank you.
Okay, there I am. Thank you, Joanna. Thank you for this presentation about, self-care, interaction, and communication, and how our identities and our upbringings, can affect or impact the way we feel, or even the way we express those things that we are feeling and when we need help. I think we're going to turn it over to Mikael. Welcome back, Mikael. It's good to have you with us again. So go ahead and talk to us.
Thank you so much for having me again. I hope I have some background noise. I hope that it's not too much. I was still at that church doing a presentation, so I'm in the pastor's office, but it looks like whatever's going on out there, I'm hearing the feedback. So bear with me, please. Thank you so much for having me again, and I'll be briefly talking to you all about the importance of mental health. As human beings, our mental health is very important. Oftentimes, we have the tendency to confuse mental illnesses and mental health. The last time I was on, I spoke about the difference between mental health is basically taking care of our social, emotional, psychological, and for us people of faith, spiritual life, so that we don't get to mental illnesses phase where our the very stresses, the daily stresses of life is not getting the best of us, where we may get to a point where we are being ineffective in things that we do because we are dealing with mental illnesses. So it is very important, just like we take our cars to the shop, we go to our medical doctors to get our checkup every year. You are checking in with on your mental health part, and at the end, I will invite you all to entertain the idea of having a mental health toolbox. I'll explain what that is, and you can put whatever you think will benefit you best. So mental illnesses, it is very common in the United States. It does not discriminate whether you have money, your skin color, the type of education you have, your religion. 1 in 4 Americans will experience some sort of mental illness in his or her lifetime. And our teens are not exempt from that as well. So it is very important that we are checking in with our teens to make sure that they are okay. One thing with them, they are more vulnerable to for stress to turn into anxiety to perhaps turn into depression, because their brain is still developing. As we know, the brain is not fully developed until the age of 25 for our young people. So the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for reason and for judgment, for decision making, it's not developed until the age of 25, and it is the last part of the brain to develop fully. So oftentimes certain stress we may be able to deal with, our young people may not be able to deal with them as well, because the brain is still under construction, the brain is still forming. So we have to keep that in mind. So one thing I would invite you all to do to make sure that you are paying attention to stressors, things that stress you out in life. There are 2 types of stress. There's acute, which is something temporary. It's a good stress. You are about to go through something. You excited. It's an exam. It's a presentation. That's a good stress. The body's all pumped up, but the body has certain cortisol that will come into play to help regulate, to smooth it out so that you are okay. When stress becomes overwhelming and when stress becomes chronic, then it's a problem. According to the CDC, about 90% of all illnesses we come to know, they start with stress. So stress plays a very important role into our well-being. We gotta be able to manage our stress regulate our feelings and emotions in a way that is appropriate, so that we avoid getting certain diseases or illnesses. So it's important for us to pay attention to our bodies, to our thoughts, to our feelings. I often tell the people that I see, my clients, life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. I heard that somewhere from a pastor, and for me, that went true for me. A lot of things will happen, but in the end, they will be minimal as compared to how you react will always determine how the situation plays out. People are always going to try you, talk to you a certain way, look at you a certain way. It is your job to know that you don't have to be so reactive. When we are reactive, we are living in our sympathetic life, the sympathetic life, or the sympathetic aspect of our central nervous system deals with the chaoses, the stress, everything that comes with that. So my call to you all is to leave the chaotic, stressful, sympathetic way of living behind, to move into parasympathetic side of our brain, of the central nervous system, which is something where you find peace, you find balance, where the body or life is going into homeostasis for you, where you find balance. So it is very important that we begin to have a mind shift, a paradigm shift in the way that we think, so that we can get to a place where our thinking, our thoughts, which will affect our feelings, then our feelings, which will affect our behavior based on the cognitive triangle. We are being mindful and we're paying attention to those. We have to be present. We have to be intentional about what we do, how we do it, when we do it, what we react to, what we don't react to. So we are in control of those. Oftentimes we go around, we just let people be in control of everything that we do. We always reacting. Again, we don't have to react to everything. We don't have to feel like we have to take charge of everything. For my women on this Zoom, I know for us Black people, we have certain signifiers. We think that we are superwomen. We have the superwoman syndrome going on. We can do it all. We are mommy, we are wife, we are worker, with this, with that. And so we think of self last. We do everything for everyone but ourselves. So this is my call for you, is for you to really start being intentional about you. We all should have a mental health toolbox. Your toolbox can have whatever you want it to have. For me, my toolbox includes, of course, prayer, journaling. My connection with God is very key to help me take on everything that I think I'm aspiring to do. Having people in my circle who are encouraging, like-minded people who are thriving, people whose core beliefs are they are similar to mine. Oftentimes we try to get to a place we want to take care of self. People may see us as being selfish. Or are you thinking about yourself? I want you to know, you mother, you have to think about you. One analogy I often use is, when you are on an airplane, before we depart, what do they say? Before you can save someone else, you have to save yourself. You have to put your oxygen on first so that you can help the next person. Sometimes I know it's easier said than done, because you get into feeling guilty, what other people might think. But for you to know that you are really living in your purpose, you are taking care of your social, mental, emotional, spiritual well-being, you gotta be able to be account for you first. Once you account for you first, everything else will fall in place. It's not being selfish, it's you making sure that you are being intentional about self-care. Self-care can look any type of way. You can use any activities to help you with your self-care, prayer, physical, the way you eat, what you eat, sometimes a bubble bath, certain essential oils that you can use that are based lavender. Lavender is a good plant that can help with inflammation. What stress over time does, stress creates certain inflammation. When enough cortisol did not get to the place that was inflamed, over time, those can create heart attacks. So lavender, when you take 30 minutes for yourself, you say, I'm going to soak myself in some lavender essential oil or anything, those savon, those liquid soap, you can bake. That 15-30 minutes can repair so much in your body, you won't even believe it. So just do your research, know what would work for you. But a toolbox, you have to have a toolbox. You can start with the first and foremost prayer, having a prayer life. I recommend always have someone, a trusted advisor, a mentor, someone you can talk to. If need be, having a therapist, someone whom you can go and talk to. You don't need to go every day, but when you feel that you need to talk to someone. So there are things, you will know what will work for you, what coping skills, what regulating techniques will work for you, but just start with the idea, put down mental health toolbox. And then whatever comes, whether it's having a wisdom circle, people that speak life into you, people that raise you up, whether it's having different activities, blocking out time on your calendar because you come first, whether it's a manicure or pedicure, go ahead and get your hair washed, anything that will help you regulate your emotions, your thoughts, you leading you to be at your best will be helpful. So I urge you, ladies, gentlemen, whomever is on this Zoom, take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, be compassionate, and be intentional about everything that you do for you. And then we'll be the great leaders, the great wife, the great mothers, everything else that we do. I don't know how much time I had. I wasn't looking at the time, so I'll stop here. I'll wait to answer questions.
Yeah, for this wonderful presentation. Thank you for all the emphasis that you have placed. And yes, I feel like I could use a 7-day resort to Los Cabos or Cozumel, Mexico right now. Trust me.
Take me with you. Take me with you.
I don't know who's paying for that, but yeah, that's where I feel like going right now. Right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Nadine. Thank you, Mikhail. Thank you, Johanna. I think we may have other experts in the Zoom, other people, with different background, whether in health, women's health and talk. So the floor is open now for questions. You can ask questions directly to the guest speakers, or you can just send the question out and whoever has an element of response may answer. Don't feel like you have to be a doctor or you have to be a nurse or you have to be this, a PhD. You don't have to have a title to have knowledge. You can have knowledge based on experiences and things you have read. So if you feel like you have an element of response and you have something that you would like to share, the floor is open. You can answer question and then we'll move forward with that. Go ahead and remember the rules of the Zoom. If you have a question, we're not talking on top of one another. Raise your hands and I will ask James to be the moderator of the questions for us to just take them in the order that their hands are being raised. So that way we can address each of the questions. The floor is open for questions.
I don't have a question, but I wrote in what I typed into the chat, a little bit about my own mental health toolkit. I like that a lot, Dr. Pierre. And I guess I was wondering if anyone else wanted to share what their mental health toolkit entails. I didn't realize how much I need my community until I moved to Missouri and I can't find a Haitian bakery. Like I was really spoiled in Queens, New York. So yeah.
Come on, guys, come on. bring on the questions.
Yo peur, ok. Une grande question pour Nadine. Nad, est-ce que fibromes guérit naturellement? Parce que il y a des gens qui gagnent qui disent juste après remède naturel.
Bon, m'pa ba ou réponse 100% parce que moi tande moun qui dit ça tout. A lot comes to diet and herbal medicine. Like people like me, we are not too much into herbal medicine, which to me is the best thing, you know. What if what am I gonna do? I'm gonna refer you to a GYN doctor, and what does the GYN doctor is gonna do? Cut you off and remove it, right?
Right.
But to me, I really think it could be cured naturally. Again, that's based on what I've read also, because I'll tell you, if I could, I just regret growing up, you know, all those teas.
Yeah.
We did not need all of that. La terre produit tout bagay que nous besoin pour quoi nous. But unfortunately, in a pays industrialisé, we're not too much into it. We're more about pumping pills. I'm sure it can be cured. I'm sure, but again, back at this 100%. I can't confirm it, but I can lean to that and say it could happen.
Okay.
But again, it go level. I mean, even though natural things is good, but you get to a point, you might need some help. You might need some medical help. So that's all I could say, Mama.
Thank you, Nadine, for that. And I will add a little bit to that. Yeah, sometimes when I think about natural osteopathic medicine, I wish I had my training in that and not traditional medicine. But yeah, I've been doing my research and I have a lot of experiences with women back in Haiti and in Dominican Republic who had fibroids and who bought those tisane that they sell in those natural stores. They drink it for 3 months and the fibroids disappeared and they had cysts, the cysts disappeared. So based on my research, what I'm gonna say is, it will depend on the type of fibroids or cyst, or it will depend on what was the reason, what created, because we know most of it is based on your hormones and they grow with your hormones. But it will depend on what is the reason. Why do you have the fibroids in the first place? Because women in my family, I lost 2 aunts to fibroids. The fibroids were inside of their uterus, which caused them to use a lot of blood. And they died. I had one that survived because there is a God above and she got to the care on time and she survived. My mother had fibroid and she was bleeding. We have surgery as soon as we got to Dominican Republic, hysterectomy, total hysterectomy. And myself, when I was in DR, I discovered I had 2 fibroids after my mom passed. I removed them in 2012 so I could have these 2 boys that I have now. It helped. And I did drink those natural remedies for 6 months in Dominican Republic, and it did not help me. So that's where I'm going. So you may have a fibroid. It depends on the cause of the fibroids, the location of the fibroid, whether it's outside or inside of your uterus, because that also includes the gravity of your symptoms. But it all depends. What works for one person who has fibroid may not work for you. So for me, the 2 that I had, they fusioned together. They became a huge fibroids. I even had a miscarriage, you know what I'm saying? But I had to have surgery to remove mine. And thankfully, I don't have them anymore. But it depends on you. Some people may have small ones, drink a natural remedy, find a solution, and they never come back again. So that's my answer. Any more questions? Anybody else has raised their hands, James?
No, you can go, Claudia.
Okay, so what I was gonna add to Mama's question is, as Sonita said, is depend. From my personal experience, I did drink a lot of natural remedies. Mine weren't painful at all. I didn't even feel them. But the only problem they were giving me is they were making me bleed. All my blood would go every month. In the point, I was so low, like my blood would go all the way to 2. I told you guys that already. So my only solution was to have something medically done. So my natural medicine would not do anything anymore. I had to do something. So depend on the gravity of your symptoms. Sometimes you can say, and okay, my boite, but you got to have something done to resolve the issue completely.
Thank you. Any more questions? Any more questions about anything?
Okay, so sorry, Sonita, I have something to say about that self-care.
Yes.
So Dr. It's not Gabby, it's what's the name of the other doctor, Sonita?
Mikhail.
Dr. Mikhail. So self-care. For me, a lot of the self-care activity that I feel help me and I consider self-care, I do them alone. So it looks like selfish to some, and I do feel a little guilt when I do them because I like going out on my own, do shopping, for example, and I like doing my nails. I like reading a book on my own. They make me feel good. They make me feel that I'm taking care of myself, kind of rejuvenate after that. But because I'm doing them on my own, my family, children, and husband are not part of it. I feel some guilt doing it. So what would you recommend? Try to change them, try to find things that included family, or stand my gun and say, no, this is self-care. It's not selfish, but self-care.
Very good question. Yeah, sometimes in our quest to wanting to satisfy everyone, we may feel that doing a little personal self-care is selfish. Now you gotta be able to evaluate, is it something, do you only do self-care that includes you? Or do you have personal self-care that you do for you? And then you have self-care that includes your family. Part of self-care, the 5 aspects I often talk about, we talk about physical, social, emotional, spiritual, and mental. So those are aspects of our self-care we have to pay attention to. So as human beings, you are social beings. You were born that way. So there are times you might need to incorporate the family into activities that you consider self-care. Not only you getting your needs met, but you are together with your family, creating bond, creating memories. I know our culture, sometimes we don't believe in family vacation, or a family vacation is all of us going to Haiti, go be with other families. But a type of self-care could be once a year. You guys plan one big family outing where it's not going to be where you're gonna go someplace and do work. It's truly relaxing for you and your family to be in a place that is open, inviting. It doesn't have to be a place where you have to spend killer money, but you are making sure that you're teaching your family, your husband, and kids that it is important for us to take care of really our relational self-care as well. So keeping families in mind is great, but never feel guilty for the things that you are doing for you. Continue to be intentional about it, but I would say be balanced. If you only do stuff for you, then every now and again, let's add everybody into the mix. Start teaching them early on the importance of taking care of ourselves and our families.
All right, thank you. So my last question on this, I would just like you to say that on the live. I hope the husbands out there to hear that. Is shopping consider self-care? Is shopping consider self-care?
shopping can be considered a self-care because when you doing it, when we do things that are regulating, the last time I was on, I talked about the amygdala. The amygdala is called the emotional center or the pleasure center of our brain. When we do things that are pleasing to us, it puts us in a state of mind where you feel calm, you feel relaxed, you feel peaceful. So if shopping, if you love shopping, if that puts you at that in that relaxed mood, what I would say, are you only shopping for you or is it shopping in general? And if you are shopping for you, someone put shopping is therapeutic. For me, that's one of my best therapy. After I see so many clients
Cute.
at the end of the day, I need to do me some shopping.
Hallelujah.
That makes me happy. So
Amen, sister.
let's not
Thank
break
you.
it in, but shopping can be therapeutic but again, we gotta be balanced, not too much
Of
of it.
course.
But just yes, it is something
Of
that is
course.
quite
For me, shopping is so therapeutic. Even window shopping is good for me.
you know you got it bad. Yes, indeed.
You know what I did?
Is James, does anybody have their hands raised before
nobody has their hands up now.
There is a question in the chat that I'm going to address. So I wanted to see if anybody had their hand raised before I address that question. Whatever, James Stimulus, you don't get to tell us how do we shop. This is our decision. Okay, there is a question in the chat. Someone is asking, what are some non-pharmacological treatment to dysmenorrhea, like naturopathic treatment that can help the pain? Something that even like something over the counter that you can take. I will take that question because growing up, I experienced a lot of dysmenorrhea, like terrible dysmenorrhea, and I can share some of the things I have used. I also did a quick search and I can share what the results are saying. So for starting with over-the-counter, some of the over-the-counter medicine that you can take for dysmenorrhea that you don't need a prescription for, there are ibuprofen, I don't know if we still use diclofenac, but yeah, it's like ibuprofen. What's the other one? Not acetaminophen. It's a good one too.
Advil?
It depends. Advil, the one that has I can't remember the active ingredients, but yes, everything that says pain medication, you can take that, because what happens when we have dysmenorrhea is our uterus, our endometrius, it just is contracting so much. So you need something that relaxes that contraction. However, you don't want to do that to an extent where it relaxes too much, because that increases, it needs to contract. So the process of the period can go on naturally, because that was it was made for. But yeah, these are some of the things you can. So natural things I used to do, because even though that will sound weird, as a doctor, I don't like medication. I do not take medication. If you want to be my friend, don't tell me to swallow medication. I'm not going to do it unless the heaven and the earth are collapsing together. I don't take medication. So some of the things I used to do to ease dysmenorrhea naturally is, when I know my period is coming, because I used to be on top of that thing, when I know it's coming a few days before, I begin to take chamomile tea. You can take it preferably without sugar. So if you cannot bear without sugar, add some honey, because the honey has some natural, effects as well. You start taking chamomile tea for twice a day for, couple of days before. And another thing you can do before you have your period is drink a lot of water, because when you are most hydrated, you increase your chances of reducing inflammation in your body overall. So that's going to help as well, because you can notice that when you have your period, you can have a headache, and you may even have pimples, things coming out of your face. So when you try to keep hydrated, and drink natural teas like that. You can drink chamomile tea is a good one. I think mint peppermint is another good one. And physical activity, go for a walk. Like sometimes people say, I cannot exercise today because I'm on my period, I'm bleeding. Well, the thing I found to help me the most is when I reach that pain level, get on the treadmill or just open that door, go to the neighborhood and walk, even if it's for 5 minutes. When you start walking and your blood starts to flow, your blood starts to circulate, it decreases the pain to a certain level and it stops the contraction to a certain level. And the other thing I used to do is use heat pad. You don't have to have a fancy heat pad to use directly on your pelvis. You can use that, or you can sip on hot stuff, but you can use a heat pad. When I didn't have a fancy heat pad, what I used to do is you can get one of those socks, just a clean pair of socks or one sock, just put some rice in it, tie it up, put it in the microwave for 1 minute or 2 minutes, as it depends on how much heat you can support on your skin, and you just place it on your pelvis for a while. When I do that, I just fall asleep. When I wake up the next morning, I don't know what happened. So these are the things that I do naturally, and you can try dietary supplements. You can increase your iron supplement. You can consume like a lot of vegetables, especially spinach and things like that, to just help keep up with the blood that you lose and things like that. I know that was a lengthy response, but I wanted to make sure that I include everything in there.
I think Ruth put something on the chat as well, if you want to read them for them, Sonita.
Oh, yes. Okay, Ruth touched on most of the, naproxen. Naproxen is the one I could not remember. It's my favorite. I like it. It used to cut it for me like for the whole 3-5 days. So we have for natural things like heating pads, sleep, exercise, do not consume caffeine and chocolate. Yes, I remember when I moved to Missouri, my doctor removed chocolate and caffeine completely from my diet because they were giving me a lot of pain in my body, especially, during periods. So that's important. So yeah, some of the medication that you guys can take is, acetaminophen, aspirin. It depends on when it comes to medication, always ask a doctor, always talk to your doctor, even if it's OTC or over-the-counter medication, because some of those medication can make you bleed more. So make sure you talk to your doctor first about the right dosage for you. And it depends, your medication should be based on the intensity of the pain that you're having. So yes, naproxen, ibuprofen, aspirin, acetaminophen, these are all medication that you can take. Thank you, Ruth, for that. And Nadine also say in the chat, essential oil can also help with that.
We have 2 hands up. We have Ed, then Ben. Ed, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, moderator. I want to thank the speakers for their endeavor to present very good explanation, even though I do believe the today's study is kind of feminist. But however, I'm going to ask a question. I don't know if I'm going to cross the line. So frigidity, being frigid, is it a disease? If so, it is curable? And I wanna know the causes. Should I say again the question?
So the question is frigidity in women. Like
frigidity, being frigid from a woman, is that a sickness, a disease? If so, is it curable or not? And I want to know the causes. And what can we, men, solve that problem?
I think I'm gonna give it a try. But that question came from a very passionate place. When you find that your woman is not as sexual as you might want her to be, there are a lot of aspects we need to look into. One of them, you're welcome. One of the first things for us to look at, that's why there has to be communication between the partners. Is there a history of trauma? Is there a history of trauma where the person might have experienced some sexual trauma that will cause someone to not be so sexually inclined to engage in sexual activity? So the first one, we need to rule out that there hasn't been no sexual trauma that wasn't talked about. Oftentimes, women, they are molested, assaulted by family members, trusted. With people, first, they are afraid, they are ashamed, so they're not talking about it. They go into a relationship hoping that things would fix itself out, but once they are married, they find out that, oh, this is not fixing itself. Here I am, I never had this conversation with my fiance or boyfriend, and maybe because I'm afraid, he would probably just leave me if he knows that some uncle assaulted me, some uncle took advantage of me. So that's something, as couples, we have to make sure that we rule that out. Another thing could be if there's any sign of depression going on. Again, I'm gonna go to the amygdala. We call it the emotional or the pleasure center of the brain. When you are experiencing stress, overwhelming stress, your amygdala is activated. That means that whatever emotions, pleasure you used to get, you are not going to have that, because the part of the brain that is responsible for that is impacted. So when someone is dealing with an activated amygdala, or there are signs of depression, you will find that they will have decreased libido. They cannot get wet for nothing. And without having that moisture, sex is not pleasurable. So when sex is not pleasurable, every time the husband is trying to engage, it's like, here we go again, because you know that it's painful. There are many other conditions that may cause a woman to be cold or not lacking sex. So we have to talk and find out what is it, or could it be that our society, growing up Haitian, growing up in the church, we are not having certain conversations. It's all taboo. Si your moon or is very sexual, their sexual identity, your genre, no. So you went from sex is something to not be talked about, and then you married, you're supposed to be like, yeah, sex, and he's like, ooh, I spent my entire life not, ooh. So again, we got to be honest with ourselves, with our communities, with our churches and our families. Have those conversations before getting married, because it's not all glitz and glamour when you get this, oh, every day, what? Not once a month. I once heard, I was doing a presentation like this, a husband asked a question just as passionate as you. It's like, oh, yes, I guess culturally, and certain women, they have certain predisposition, medical predisposition as well. You can enjoy sex, they're not prone to wanna engage in sexual intercourse. So we have to find out, parler, kiss. Est-ce que c'est ou aimer c'est moi qui viens sous vous that turns you on? Like, we have to talk about it, not just I'm expecting this from you, I married you, now you need to perform. We need to find out where it's coming from, but it can be a number of things. It can be a lot of factors. So just talk, find out, and then seek help.
Thank Kyle, for that answer. I think you covered hormones, you covered psychological trauma, you covered social, the way we brought up the stigma. We don't talk about sex. And I would like to bring up the physical aspect of what other health conditions qui l'autre maladie que ou pas parle ka docteur diagnostiqué qui prédispose pas intéressé à sexe. Vous comprenez? So, nous souhaitons questions à répondre.
Unfortunately, Sonita is not the moderator. I asked the question I should be asked if I'm satisfied or not. So I probably got more questions related to this, but I'm gonna let the chance to Ben to ask his questions. If I have another chance, I will come back for the other valid.
All right, and before you go to, just to clarify, at the beginning, you said that this study sounds feminist. Let me remind you that this study is focused about women's health. So we're discussing topics around women's health, things that women experience in that health, and we're trying to have a conversation about what we need, how can we learn more and, to get better.
Understood. Right. Thank you.
Go ahead, Ben.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Ben, give me 1 second. We have a primary care physician on the Zoom. I think her name is Gabby, if I'm not mistaken. Gabby, thank you for joining us this afternoon, and feel free to, as you hear the questions and the comments, feel free to jump in if you have an element of response for the audience. Just we're happy you're here. Welcome. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, I know that we are talking mostly about women, but for my own mental health, I have a question. So
okay.
Can a wife go out for, I don't know, for a day, and husband cannot call, kids cannot call, and just let her go enjoy her day because that's what she likes to do, and just let her go for the whole day, or I don't know, 8, 10 hours, and kids and family cannot even get in touch with her? Is it mental health?
Okay, let me see if I understand the question. The question is it okay, or is it a mental health problem when a wife goes out for a whole day and turning her phone off, like without family and kids reaching out? Is that the question?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody has an answer?
I'll try. I think that it'll depend on why is the person doing that. Is it something that was pre-planned as a family, that I am going on some sort of person, but having the phone be turned off, I don't think it should be for the entire 10 or however many hours, because there may be some true emergencies that may need your presence. I don't know if that would be a conversation to have with that spouse. What is it that you may not be getting in the home that you get during those moments of solitude? And how can we, as the husband and your kids who are missing your presence, what can we do to better support you in those endeavors? First, you will need to find out why it's so extensive and so frequent, and then find ways to kind of help that person. So I think it's important. It's always about conversation. If it's that, oh, she needs 10, 12 hours by herself, I don't know what she's doing. What I'm hearing that is concerning for the husband, for the children. What are we doing wrong in the home that you cannot stand to be around us? So we have to make sure that we're not sending the wrong type of messages and practicing self-care. Practicing self-care, like I said, is not a selfish act. It is very much something you owe yourself that. You work hard, you do what you do on a daily basis as an individual, you owe yourself that. At the same time, that doesn't make you less of a wife, less of a mother, less of a person. It shouldn't be so often where you're neglecting that family part of your life. It should be as often as possible that you feel that's reasonable. Again, balance. Everything has to be done in balance. Something that starts as a self-care activity, now that's becoming detrimental for your family. Now you having other problems. You need to kind of have those discussions, find out why, and then come up with solutions that work for the family.
Yeah, I wanted to.
Thank you. Go ahead, Joanna.
Okay, I just wanted to jump in because this ties back to a lot of what was said already. And I think that this kind of goes back to the other question about the shopping as well. I agree with everything that Dr. Pierre said. I also think that we need to think about what does selfish mean, and taking time for oneself does not necessarily mean that it's selfish. And then I also want to, again, go back to scripture as a basis, and I'm going to put a verse in the chat. And again, using Christ as an example, he went out alone to a solitary place and he prayed. And regardless of the length of time, whatever is needed is what it's needed. And I think it does go back to communication. And so the key point, I looked up the definition of selfish just because we were throwing it around so much. And the key part is lacking consideration for others. So if you are able to communicate your needs, and then your partner, going back to the assertiveness slides I had, and then your partner or your family or your children talk about what their needs are, it's about finding that compromise. And that is a conversation at times. And I had a working mother, and my mom would be out of the house all day, all night. And if there was an emergency, we knew not to contact my mother. It was as simple as that. We just couldn't contact her. So it's about communicating before it happens so that your person just doesn't disappear, and then maybe communicating after. How was that for you all to not have mommy around or daddy around, whatever it is? So I think that a lot of the difficulty with a lot of these women's mental health issues is, again, all the different messages. American culture will tell you, forget everyone else, do your thing. And then my Haitian values will tell me I have to put others before myself. And so it's about really being honest with ourselves and figuring out what makes sense, I think. And again, being very clear with family before, after, and even during some self-care practices, because it could be something as simple as, James mentioned window shopping before. You can be on the computer and just internet shop, like for mental health, right? And mommy needs 30 minutes. Like, I just need to go and browse and have my sense of peace, whatever it is, just communicating that and protecting it, really.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You know what I'm thinking? I hear your response, Joanna. I hear what Mikhail's saying, and I can hear, because this is a problem. Like, I had a Haitian father, I have Haitian brothers, I have a Haitian husband, I have a lot of Haitian friends, single, married, experienced, divorced, and everything. And I have not a lot of Black friends, but I have known a lot of Black men, husbands. And I think culturally speaking, societally speaking, when you think of the woman having time to herself, it almost feels like it's an offense to them. Because as a girl, you were brought up to be there for them, to clean the house for them, to cook for them, to feed them, to have sex, get the children, push them out, take care of them, do all of that, have food ready by lunchtime, have dinner ready, like guess when they're hungry, feed them. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's we not only we owe it to ourselves to take care of ourselves, but we owe it to them first to take care of them and all the children before we can take care of ourselves. That's why I experience the guilt when I take a 3 hours nap. I am learning not to let the guilt kill me, but yes, we all experience the guilt, because it almost feels like when you go out for 2 hours and when you come back, it feels like, oh, you back. Listen what I'm saying? Like, you shouldn't have had time for yourself. You know, when they do, you go out, they go, you know what I'm saying? It's okay, because we are raised in a Black culture, in a context where the woman is supposed to be all of that for the man, while what is expected of the man? Find a job, work, and bring the food. Nothing else. So that's a lot of things that I'm hearing that we think like, and some of them may think sometimes like, oh, now this is 2020. Now we are in America. Now we went in Canada. Blanc a parlé de self-care. Now you to take a fully plan self-care. Maman pa te kon plan self-care. Grandma pa te kon plan self-care. Well, yeah, which is why they died the way they died. They never knew what they died of. You see the superwoman syndrome. Some of them die of hypertension. We never knew. Some of them die of angina, chest pain and thing. We never know, cardiovascular, because of the overcharging roles that we all do, because we have to fill all those needs. So I just wanted to share that. I think Sarah has her hand up. Go ahead, Sarah.
Sarah, if you're talking, you're on mute.
Now we can.
Oh, okay. I just want to thank Mimin for inviting me, because I was just home sleeping, not sleeping, just waiting for Sabbath to be over for me to get about my life. So I'm just waiting. And then she sent me that link and I liked it, and it's so wonderful. And what I have to say about this subject, like when you're dealing with self-care and you guys throw a lot of word about selfish, like for our family, my mom works so hard. My mom is always at work, working 16-hour shift, 12-hour shift. So it become our job, like my job, my dad's job, to take care of my mom, because my mom don't know when to slow down. She doesn't know when to stop. Like she will work 16-hour shift, and on her way home, she will call my dad and il peut dire comme ça, mettez poids dehors pour lui. Mettez qui c'est si dehors pour lui. By the time she get home at 11 o'clock, pour poids get en cuite, et puis by 1 a.m., 2 a.m., du resource quoi tout bay get en fait. And I'm looking at her side, everybody dies so young, like 45, 47, 50, they all die. And she's like, my grandma lost like 7 kids. And I'm looking at her, I'm like, if I don't do something about her, and I talk to my dad, I say, we're gonna lose my mom, because my mom never stopped. She's like something like a energized bunny that never stops. So what I did last month, she was doing so much. So I talked to my dad, I say, I'm booking a hotel room for your wife for 3 days. So don't bother her. I just want her to sleep really. I don't want her to be a mom. I don't want her to be a wife. I just want my mom to sleep. So my dad was like, okay, just do it. So we did it. I called her and I picked her up, got her ready. I dropped her at the hotel and I left. I said, Mommy, I'm not gonna call you. After you're done sleeping, you call us and tell us how is it. So guess what? My mom, we spent 16 hours. We didn't hear from my mom. I got so worried. I called the hotel front desk for me to be connected to her room, because we calling her, she's not picking up. And then when the front desk finally get us connected to her room, she finally woke up. She said she doesn't remember the last time she slept like that. And she cried. She said she got the best daughter in the world. She doesn't remember the last time she slept for 16 hours straight. And she couldn't even hear her phone ring. So sometimes the husband, or if the wife have some growing children, like people that like my age, you need to take care of that mom or of that wife, because at the end of the day, she is human just like everybody. So just take care of your wife. Whoever asked that question about wife have that phone turn off, you need to tell your wife to turn the cell phone off and go somewhere without husband and children. The husband has to take care of his wife. That's all I gotta say.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Come on now. I'm gonna send you flowers. Gabby, no, thank you. We never stop working. Thank you for that question. We have 2 hands up. I think we have
first,
have much.
Martin.
So Ed, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to say something real quick.
You guys make me scared. You know, I've been.
Ed, wait. It seems like
I was gonna come back to Sonita's intervention.
No,
latest intervention where she says, sometimes. Hello.
Yeah, and wait. It seems like Dr. Michael has an intervention about what was being said. Then we'll get you after that because we need to get the speakers priority to interject in the questions or the discussions before we get to the next person.
All right. I thought it was my part. All right.
So yeah, it was, but she was about to say something before you.
Yeah, thank you, James. Before I lose my train of thought, I don't know if anyone else had used the word selfish when talking about self-care. I wanted to make it clear. My approach was self-care should not be viewed as being selfish. So I want to make sure that that was understood correctly, because I did come on a little late. I don't know what was said prior to getting on. I wanted to be clear that I want to make sure that when women are asking for that break, saying that my body's about to give up on me, I'm burnt out, I need an out, that moment, being intentional about taking care of herself should not be mistaken for being selfish. So I just wanted to make that clarification. I know the word was used loosely, but just so that sometimes in our superwoman syndrome, we think that we can do it all with no break. And we've seen people do that, like Sarah's mom, and we can see the consequences, how devastating those consequences can be. So I just wanted to just make that clarification before we proceed any further. Thank you.
Okay, and go ahead. Then Martin.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I was saying I had to come back to Sonita's intervention where she says, she sometimes she says the women are brought up to clean the house, to serve to satisfy the men, cook for them. No, I don't see it that way. I totally disagree with Sonita's. I think we're not unuseful as men. We understand the women, and sometimes we do help them out. We clean the house as well, and we cook. And I don't know. I'm not gonna stay on that, but hey, I didn't agree with you, Sonita. And my other question is, I just heard the next person after Sonita. She said sometimes we have to be flexible at letting our women, go somewhere else, turn off their phone. So what our role as men to protect our women? So what can we be so flexible without knowing where our wife is while she has her phone turned off? How can we go around that? That was the question. And also, I want to know too, why a woman has to be nervous while she's having a period. Is that something that men can help out? Because some of the women, they getting nervous and they period moment. So what can we help men to help the women, kind of cool while they're having their period? Thank you.
I can jump a little bit into that. Ed, can you please repeat your first 2 questions? You made the comment about...
Yeah, that was just a comment where Sonita says sometimes, women are brought up just to clean the house, to cook, to satisfy the man. I totally disagree with that, because I believe in this way we should be unuseful, but we're not unuseful, and we do help, and then we do satisfy the woman too sexually. So we don't want the woman to think, hey, they are just to satisfy the man. It's a mutual satisfaction. So, and my question was, that was just a comment. My question was, how can we be so flexible, man, to let the woman go somewhere, spending like more than 6 hours, 8 hours, as you just mentioned about your mother, turned off their phone and not being able to get in touch with them. How can we be so cool while we have to protect our women wherever they are and anytime, all the time?
Yeah, that's a lot. For the second point about protecting the woman, that's a lot of pressure to put on yourself, to being able to protect your woman everywhere she is at any time. But I do understand that pressure. So one word I want to throw out there, and I'll type in the chat as well, is socialization. And again, just a background. So I'm coming from a psychology background, less medical as some other folks here. Socialization is how society enforces or punishes women and men for doing things. So when a man is sensitive and he cries and people laugh at him, that's society punishing him, and he's learning to not do that in public. And when a woman does certain things and she gets rewarded or complimented for being sweet and nice and kind and smiling, she's being rewarded, and that increases behavior. So I can't speak for Sonita, I know you'll probably jump in, but for me, as I understand my socialization as a Haitian woman, I was taught to serve, and that looks like I got rewarded by money, I got rewarded by smiling, I got rewarded by compliments when I would put others before myself. And my brothers didn't really get that same attention for those behaviors. They got rewarded for being strong, for helping with other things in the house. So that's just a point about socialization and how I understood some of the comments that have been said about how women feel this invisible pressure from everyone around us. No one is doing it on purpose. And I hear that men jump in and help. My dad also was a father who helped around the home. And I'm not sure that he had the same pressure that if he went to sleep with dirty dishes, he was a bad human being. I don't know if he had that, but I know that myself, my mother taught me that I was a bad human being if I went to sleep with my dirty house, right? So I think about how women and men are trained differently and encouraged differently. And to the protection point, I'll just say this one last thing and then I'll leave the others. I'm going to share the screen one more time on this slide that I had about assertiveness. So there is communication, and there is this idea of speaking to a person. You have to communicate your needs. And then, so if you as the husband then—
Can you make it full screen, Joanna?
Yeah, sorry. So the woman would communicate her needs, or the mother or the wife, that she needs a break, she wants to turn off her phone. And so the whole idea is that this is a dialogue that happens, and it doesn't have to be a fight later on. The couple, families don't have to fight about it. This can just be a conversation. This is what I need before you do it proactively. And I'm burnt out. You state your reasons. I'm tired, da, da, da. And then the man will then communicate his needs and his emotions and how he sees the situation. So his impressions, I feel like I have to protect you physically. So a compromise can be reached. So I will tell you my location at every given point, or I'll be here and here for 4 hours and I'll be here and here. And so that need can be met, or it could be a conversation around, if anything happens to me, honey, we'll call the police, I'll trust God. But that has to be a conversation that happens, I would say, proactively, as opposed to the husband feeling bad as a result. Dr. Pierre mentioned a lot about kind of the communication between the partners. And if it's hurting your family, does that make the woman feel good? I don't think so. For most people, we don't want others who we love to feel bad. So if that's brought to light, we can kind of address it. So just a reminder for folks that this doesn't have to be a stressful thing. It can just be a regular conversation that happens. The same way you talk about the to talk about is everyone's needs being met in this household family relationship.
Right, perfect. Thank you, Joanna, for amazing comments. Let's move on to Martine. Martine, go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I am gonna jump into something else. I have heard like men and women talking about a good woman should be dry and clean down there. When I say down there, everybody knows what I'm talking about. You have to be clean and dry down there. No party en bas.
No
My question is it really a disease if a woman is having some secretion, and sometimes the secretion is so acidic that the underwear is like turning, if you're wearing a black or underwear, it got to be a certain point, divinotijan blanche, acide, chloroxy tombe la dan. Is it a disease? And my other question is it safe for a woman to shave her private?
Thank you, Tina. I will jump on that one. So, is it a disease? Okay, I will, since I've been talking already, I will allow Dr. Gabby to talk now. Go ahead, Gabby. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I really wasn't trying to take over, Miss Anita, but
I'm happy you are sharing, because I don't mean to talk by myself. I love when everybody interacts. So go ahead.
Gotcha. So I'm a family medicine doctor, and I deal with gynecological patients and problems. And yes, it is not necessarily a disease if you have what we call vaginal discharge. Sometimes there are different times during your cycle where you have more discharge than normal, especially like with ovulation, or, like your body's trying to allow a baby to come. So you might just have some discharge. So that's not abnormal. The problem is if it's different from what you're used to. So if you're seeing that it's a different color, if it's a different smell, if it's associated with bleeding, or having unprotected sex, and you think maybe your partner or you're at risk for having STDs, then yes, I would be concerned and definitely go to the doctor. And then for shaving, so this is from what I've seen. As Black people, our hair is very curly, and the problem with shaving is when you just cut that surface, and especially when it's too close to the surface, the hair, you can develop ingrown hairs, you can develop folliculitis, which is infection of like the follicles, the hair follicles. So what I've seen is when we try to shave and try to look like a newborn's baby, like we're causing bumps and further problems for ourselves. We can have abscesses or nodules with a whole bunch of pus from infection. So what dermatologists have said and other gynecologists that I've talked with is maybe using clippers, or maybe not have, it's not going to have the best shave or best close shave like you want, but at least it'll reduce your risk of having like skin problems. And some people may wax. And I think what I hear is that waxing over time thins the hair. I mean, I don't know. That's personal preference. But what I've seen and what I think is safe are using clippers or something with a guard so that the shave is not so close. That's nicking the hair so close to your skin that it's causing ingrown hair, folliculitis, abscesses. So yeah.
Thank you, Gabby, for that intervention. Yeah, I was just going, on the same line. It depends on the smell, the color, and everything. And one recommendation I've had over the years is when it's the summer time, how we like to wear black underwear, like the color black, because of the black tissue, it retains moisture. And sometimes for some of us, to avoid the discharge, we use daily pads or we use other things. So these things, when you usually use them to keep yourself dry, they can act against you by keeping the moisture down there and then increase your discharge as well, and then change the smell and things like that. So I think it's just, and when it comes to shaving, I think it's just a personal preference. Like it's just personal preference. It's something you have to talk to your partner, or maybe just you. What do you feel like is better for you? And I think I want to address, I think, Martine, I noticed a level of, we were raised to keep that thing down there clean and dry. Clean and dry for who? You see what I'm saying? I felt exactly. This is the thing. Keep it clean. The man. Well, guess what? If, say, you are trying to stay clean and dry, you cannot stay clean and dry at all times throughout 4 hours a day. That's another layer of pressure that we add to self for as a woman. So what I'm trying to say is, if you and your partner know you're going to engage, before that, take a shower, take a bath, and then you're gonna be clean, and then you dry yourself, and then you go take a walk wherever you should go, right? But I think it's unrealistic for you to be constantly thinking, oh, I have to be clean and dry. But no, I mean, that's the pressure. I'm not adding to myself that I don't suggest any to add to yourself, but it's a personal decision, for yourself and your partner. But because, I mean, I don't think you have it just for someone else. That's a part that God given you, blessed you with, that you have some sort of level over as well.
Well, may I ask something?
Go ahead. Yeah, this is a discussion.
Sonita, sometimes they said when it's like when there's fluid down there, it's like upa bon, bagay la pa bon, lipa
Okay.
Kakupa gen bon nature, konta de ap di sa.
Okay, so I feel like, okay, because who is they? They,
men
exactly.
talking, okay?
Exactly.
Men talking.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Because here's the thing. When you decide to be with someone, because this is what we are reaching a point in this discussion where we're talking about intimacy. This is intimacy where there will be some sort of level of things like, what do you mean? Okay, how is it supposed to work if there is not a level of wetness down there?
Yeah.
We need our mucus. We need our secretion. We need the discharge. We're not talking about an excessive discharge where it looks like there is a dough down there, like a mass of farine, a masse blanche, or yogurt. No, that's fungus. That's an infection.
Yeah.
We're not talking about, no, then you sick, or it was green. Okay, you sick. But the man need to reach a point where he is educated enough to know.
That's right. That's my, okay, you got me now.
This is a vagina.
Thank you.
Anatomically, Gabby, thank you. Anatomically and physically speaking, there will be some sort of natural secretion down there. If you don't want that, then go talk to God, and He will make you one specifically for you, for your desires or for your wish and your preference.
Yeah.
Because when you decide to be with someone, of course, you're talking about nature. Yes, we all, listen to me, even the baby that was born yesterday or 5 minutes ago, everyone is born with a natural, you have a smell of your own. When you first wake up in the morning, no matter how well you brush your mouth, your teeth, there will be a natural smell. That doesn't mean you're sick. It's just your body. It's just who we are, because we have different systems in our organs. Yes, there will be a smell, because then in that case, what about them? What if we find that's their nature too, to smell like that? You see what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to get is take off that pressure of men saying or men telling us how God's creation should be or should work. They can either enjoy it or leave it as is. That's
You
my
and-
last comment.
Thank you.
Any more hands raised?
No, I don't have any hands raised right now.
No, but I posed the question in the chat for Gabby concerning just getting our physical done. I know as older Haitians sometimes I said add Gabby on it.
Oh,
if you
I missed that.
Do you see it now?
And ask that. I see it now, but you can go ahead and ask.
Well, read it. I have to scroll back up. No.
All right, that's okay.
Thank you.
So Gabby, there is a question for you.
Thanks for coming, Gabs.
Okay. So the question is, oh Christ.
But I can read it.
Okay, go ahead, Jim. Thank you.
Dr. Gabby, I know that some of our Haitians who grew up in Haiti don't always see the need to get a physical done as they get older. Could you kind of touch based on that? How often should they get a physical done? What are some of the important diagnostics tests that should be done?
Thank you for the question, Nimin. So yeah, I didn't know that there was this stigma or issue with going to the doctor. We're friendly, I think. I'm just kidding. And I don't know what the kind of prevention services in Haiti, like do they do pap smears, mammograms, and all that stuff. But here in the US, based on our evidence, we are big on preventing cancers, especially common cancers, that, if caught early, we can intervene. And, if it's a precancerous lesion, we can do something about it so that it prevents it from going to full-blown cancer. Or if it's an early cancer lesion, we can at least take care of it, and in the hopes of preventing metastasis or the tumor growing or going to the rest of the body. So first thing for women are that I think of are pap smears. And pap smears are basically, we are trying to detect any cervical lesions, and the cervix is the bottom part of the uterus that is in the vagina. So we do pap smears starting at age 21 up to age 65. If it's normal between age 21 to age 30, we do it every 3 years. And then after age 30, we do every 5 years. I know a lot of women are concerned that before we were doing pap smears, every year, every 2 years. But thankfully, cervical cancer is something that is a cancer that grows slow. And so that's something that we can catch on pap smears. So and then I know another common question is, well, if cervical cancer is caused by HPV, which is the virus that causes 99.9% of cervical cancers, if you're not having sex, should you still have a pap smear? I would recommend yes. I mean, talk to your doctor, of course, if you're 21 and you haven't had sex and you really are concerned or questioning whether you need to get a pap smear. I would recommend still going to the doctor, at least getting checked, at least having discussion, and moving forward with a common treatment plan that you and your doctor agree to. Next thing I think of are mammograms, which we start screening at age 40 to 50 every 1 to 2 years. If you have a family history of breast cancer, please go see your doctor. Please get a mammogram. I would say start at age 40. If you don't have any family history, then you can start at age 50 if you want, or earlier. But at least if you know you have a family history of breast cancer, please get seen earlier so that they can do screening mammograms and make sure that you don't develop, or if you do develop breast cancer, catch it early. All right. Again, prevention is key. Very important part of medicine as a whole. It's not just treatment, but prevention. Next thing is colonoscopies, which is when we put a camera through the colon to look for colon cancer. We start at age 50. However, again, if you have a family history of colon cancer, especially mom, dad, siblings, or children, you have a history of colon cancer, then you need to get screened earlier, because this is a slow growing cancer. And the problem with colon cancer is You don't have symptoms until it's really bad. And so we have to try to look for it early. So let's say if your dad was diagnosed with colon cancer at age 50, they recommend for you to get a colonoscopy 10 years before. So at age 40. So it's very, very important to know your family history. I know with our culture, we don't really talk about the medical conditions that we all have, but this is why, so that we can prevent and hopefully treat early problems so they don't become a big problem later. And then the new things that we're doing are CT scans of the chest if you have a history of smoking for 25 years or more, starting at age 55. So make sure to talk with the doctor about getting CT scan. And I think that's it that I can think of.
Thank you so much, Gabby, for that intervention. I think you covered that question. Did that answer all the question, Ruth? Mimi?
Yeah, because you know how earlier you briefly mentioned how sometimes, our parents or some of our family members, like they would die of hypertension, of a heart attack, or all these different things where that simply because they don't check, they're just eating. However, like right now in school, I'm going over osteoporosis. So we're doing things like osteoarthritis and osteoporosis, and we're going over treatment options and all these different things. Well, the thing with me is like, at least find out what you have, even if you so choose to say the approach of, okay, I'm going to decrease my salt intake. I'm going to decrease caffeine. I'm going to, like, all the simple things that you probably could have done to help yourself. We're not doing because we have a fear of, and it's not just Haitians, it's here in America as well. Like Black people in general, they have a fear of doctors. They have a fear of finding things out. It's just more or less like, well, they either look to the parent that lived, really, really old, like, who didn't die early, or they kind of like, well, I feel like I've lived my life. I've heard so many different scenarios and things of that. So I think it's important that for us all, like, as we talk about health, it's not just the specific things. It's just like health in general. Like we talk about mental health, we talk about spiritual health, and that's also important, because what you don't want is for you not to know, and then all of a sudden, just like, oh, pit la te la bien propre. You know what I mean? And it's just like, Luda had nothing to do with it. It was something so simple that could have been prevented, that could have been fixed. And it's because you spent years and years of not even looking into it. And then now, whatever like that. But yeah, so thank you so much to everyone, actually, because I want to like take from different people. And my friend Gabby for coming on today and to talk about all of that.
Yes, thank you. I want to mention two things. Like, I want to go back. For example, I lost many aunties and uncles, and I'm sure. And I think the reason we got more years with her is because I think I was already looking into books and documents. Like, I was getting curious. Well, I want to go to med school. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So when she started bleeding, I'm like, no. Usually legs don't last that long. So why is she, bleeding all the time? Then I got, I'm like, no, we have to go. And that's how we discovered, oh, that's what my auntie got and she died of. Oh, that's what my other auntie got and she died of, because they didn't go to the doctor. They live on there and they refused to go to the doctor. So we had to take her in really quickly. And culturally speaking, but outside of the US, Black people do not want to go because we believe more in the natural remedies that we can make and that will bring healing. What I have to say about this is there is power, like the way we eat and the things that we consume and we grow around us, they have the power to heal us. However, we live in a world where food is so highly and tremendously modified that you don't know, like sometimes you may think you have something that you can easily heal with natural way, and it's not happening because of certain food that you have consumed that kind of, you have something like chemicals, like things that were not supposed to be consumed, you consumed it, and that from that you develop that. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to focus on a 100% natural remedy to treat yourself. You have to have access to doctors. I don't know where the fear of going to the doctor or going to the hospital, especially we see that a lot in men. We know a lot of men that refuse to go to the doctor. They may be dying and they will not go to the doctor. Now, bringing it inside of the US, based on my research, I'm in public health, and I'm in a lot of, dealing with International Institute Review Board and things like that. The fear that African American, I'm not gonna say immigrants, Caribbean, I'm talking about African American. If I was one, I would feel as well, because there was a study that happened in Tuskegee, Alabama, called the Tuskegee study, where the white doctors were doing a syphilis study, and they enrolled, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 600 African American men. And the study was ongoing and they had no idea they were involved in a study. And even to this day, there is a lot of consequences of that study that happened into generations, even though there was a lawsuit, there was compensation, but most of them died from that experiment. So we have that idea. And when we think, if you look deeper into structural racism in healthcare in the US, Black people, especially Black men, Black women, when you go into labor, we are not treated, Black people, period, we are not treated the same way as other people, because they think, oh, we are stronger, we are more pain resistant. That's what I see in a lot of studies. That's what I'm hearing, from my colleagues that are looking into things like we don't, because it's one racism, they don't want to treat us the same. And then again, they think like we don't deserve the same medication because we are more able to deal with higher level of pain than our counterparts, even if we are being treated for the same condition. So the fear has realistic foundation. However, we have a lot to do in other folks, because when we if I go to the doctor, they just see a Black woman. They don't see a Black Haitian woman. They don't make the distinction, oh, she's not African American, I'm going to treat her different. No, they just see a Black person and, you just got treated. But anyway, I think it all comes on, learning when you are trying to go to the doctor to learn, because like Mimin said, at least you know what you have. At least if it's, eating one egg instead of two, that's going to, decrease your lipids level, to decrease your cholesterol. That's what you need to do, because if you don't get the blood drawn, you won't know, right? So it's all about knowing what little changes that we can make, even if it's taking 500 steps a day to decrease our risk of cardiovascular disease. I think it's worth taking, because a lot of people are dying lately. Like, oh my God, I did not know. Like Mimin said, again, people are dying just following job. I didn't know she didn't look sick. I just saw her. Well, people are dying and sick inside, and we don't know it because they don't go to the doctor and they don't have a diagnosis. So it is important to have those physical and, to go to the doctor for those checkups.
Yes, we have Johanna has a private question she wants to address now.
Yeah, and to be honest, I'm not sure if I'm the best person to address this. It deals with a little bit more bio stuff. So Dr. Pierre, Gabby, or Sunita, you might jump in as well. But it's just asking about, there was comments made earlier about women talking a lot or nagging, and how that might have to do with some of our physical experiences. And so I would just say that from my layperson knowledge, informed by a little bit of my field, hormones, like we've heard already, are going to be a huge part of how we interpret our emotions. And so knowing that hormones are going to go up and down at different parts, and just kind of preparing for that, I think as a woman and as the people around us, I think it'd be important. But I am going to very humbly pass this off to whoever else wants to jump in. So specifically, again, how do the interactions of how women communicate in ways that can be a little bit more, I guess, antagonistic or arguing, nagging. How does that interact with some of our biological stuff like hormones?
Yeah, I don't know. What I have to say about this is, I mean, I don't know. Some of us are naturally born speakers. I used to say something like jokingly, like, I'm not bossy. I just know what I want and I want it now. And I want it this way, kind of thing. I mean, some of us are natural born leaders and we like to, you know, be on top of our things. There is a certain way we want things to be done and we work differently. I think some women do nag. I have to recognize that. Some of my sisters just talk just for the sake of talking. But I think it depends on what is the reason. Why are you talking? What are you talking about? And what exactly are you trying to communicate? Is the person that you're talking to understanding the way you are communicating? Because I mean, there is a lot of book about marriages and relationships that say that men don't listen. They don't hear, like, attention. I don't know a lot about that. I don't want to make this any longer than it needs to be, but we all have different form of communication styles. In what other ways can you say that same thing you've been saying over 5 years a different way now, and then it's done in 5 minutes? So, well, I mean, sometimes it's not just, you cannot just say, oh, I need you to put this up. Tomorrow you wake up, I told you yesterday, I need you to put this up. Like, and it's not happening. So sometimes it's okay to kind of step back, even though you are right in what you would like to be done, because sometimes it's not so much about I'm right, you're wrong. Sometimes there is a common ground to be reached where, okay, hold on. Why is this not happening? Is he okay? Is he listening to me? Or am I communicating properly? Did I say it right the wrong way? Did he misinterpret it? You know what I'm saying? Like finding that thing or that detail in communication where, you know, what you are saying, like the message come across in the same tone or in the same context that you're trying to make it go across. I think there is a comment in the chat that says, let's talk about COVID vaccine. I don't know, talking about COVID vaccine, like in what context? What exactly do we want to know? I want direct questions. What do we want to know about the COVID-19 vaccine?
As in, who's taking it, who's not, and why? Why not?
Okay. I can send you.
You in public health, right? Like, what are you seeing right now?
Yes, I'm a doctor lost in public health. No, that's not true. I'm a doctor enjoying public health. I have some slides from a conference that I attended from the National Institute of Infectious Diseases. They were talking about flu vaccine and talking about COVID-19 vaccine. So what we're seeing is that a lot of people, more than what they expected, are taking the vaccine, first and second doses after, you know, they activated first phase and all the health frontline took theirs. So I think more people than they expected are taking the vaccine. There was a surge even in flu vaccine, you know, as people were fearing that uncertainty about COVID. So they went and took more their, you know, COVID vaccine and flu vaccine. But with COVID, what we're seeing is, even though a lot of people in a lot of states, like the US right now has had the highest rate of vaccination in the world in terms of COVID. However, you know, as in every single health condition in the world, there is a disparity. There is an inequality where Black, Hispanic, immigrants, you know, we are not getting vaccinated at the same rate as white people are. And I can send you the slides if you want later, but what they're talking about is that it specifies different details about the reasons why Black people are not, and those that are taking it and why they are taking it. So it's just that same fear of that, experimental studies. And there's a lot of, fake news out there about, hey, they're trying to exterminate Black people. There is a chip in that vaccine. They want to track you. There is a lot of misinformation that have contributed to an increase of mistrust among the African American community, which prevents a lot of people from taking the vaccine, which in turn could have saved their lives. So far, I have not taken the vaccine. The university just activated through an email that it will be available for us to go take. I'm not going to say I'm not going to take it. I'm not sure if I'm going to take it yet. I'm still thinking about it. However, there hasn't been any major symptoms proven based on all the studies that have been done and continue to happen. There has not been any major severe reaction with any of them, including Pfizer, Moderna, and other things. So it is totally safe to take, but again, you have to talk to your doctor. You have to think about your personal health conditions. You have to get screened. You have to decide and do what's best for you. I'm not gonna tell people, oh, you need to take the flu vaccine or you need to take, no, it's a personal decision based on your family's need, on your personal needs, and based on what you need to do. If you have an employer that's forcing you to take it, well, that's up to them, but it is a personal decision. But so far, based on what is known, it is totally safe. The major reaction people have had is because there were some sort of other pre-existing condition and they have the same symptoms they would have if they were to take the flu vaccine as well because of the content of the vaccine. But mainly what we're hearing is soreness in the area, the site of injection, and people just it's basically that. But yes, there is, and in Missouri right now, they activated, I think last week, they activated phase 3, and we ranked 27 for the highest rate of vaccination. So a lot of people, and I asked a question to the Missouri Department of Public Health, what happens, we are not vaccinating as many. Missouri is very rural. So besides African-American low-income people, we have very rural white people. So there was a lot of conversation about framing the message differently so we can reach these people, making the message very legible so we can reach the different population like Hispanic immigrants and population, so we can increase the rates of people that are vaccinated and therefore increase herd immunity.
Yes, Dr. Fabia, her hands up.
Yeah.
Just to go back to, I think what Joanna said about I guess women feeling more antagonistic or people perceiving us as more antagonistic, especially around certain times of the period. So there are changes to our hormone levels during our menstrual cycles, during our 28, 30-day menstrual cycle. And some people might have premenstrual syndrome or premenstrual depression related to an abnormal response to those hormone changes, like our body, our brain is having trouble dealing with the changes in the hormone. If it's severe, of course, like talking with the doctor, like if you're not able to function, if you have problems with marital issues or getting along with people at work or whatever, then definitely recommend talking to the doctor because you might need further evaluation. But steps that I've seen for like taking for being able to deal with the time where you feel like that you are not as compassionate and sympathetic is to be aware of what of the timing for yourself. Like, is it right before your period? Is it a few days right into your period? And just find like coping mechanisms to be able to say how you feel, say what you need in a way that other people can receive it or people close to you that can receive it. So maybe not speaking as much, not commenting as much. I'm speaking from personal experience. Like when I can feel myself getting angry with a simple request or whatever, just taking the time to take deep breaths and just stop, or having mindfulness therapy or coping mechanisms, I think is very helpful. And that's like for self-management, just from my 2 cents. And then about the COVID vaccine. So I've had both injection, or I've had Moderna and had both of my doses, and tolerated it well. I agree with Sonita about the disparities within races, and but I think what we can do, like she said, like we can't convince someone to go do it. But what we can do is give the facts of how safe it is, how effective it is, and again, our hope is to prevent more people from dying from it. Like that's the main, for me at least, like my main reason for getting it is I want to protect my family, protect my community, and stop the madness, especially with how much it has affected so many families and how we've lost loved ones and friends. So yeah, all we can do is share the facts of it is effective. We don't have long-term data because I know a lot of people are concerned, or some people were concerned about fertility, which there hasn't been evidence of it impacting fertility. Growing second arms. I mean, they're legit. I think they're legit concerns because it's something new. But what we can rest in or have faith in is the track record for other vaccines. When's the last time you saw polio? When's the last time you've seen like really severe diseases, measles, mumps, rubella, where it caused children to have pneumonia and have deaths, and we don't see those things now. And I think we're kind of privileged in that point, like, oh, we don't see those problems. So how do we know the vaccines are effective? But I think history will show us that vaccines are effective at preventing disease. So, so it is a personal choice. But I think, having faith in, or at least seeing the track record for vaccines. And if you want to wait for long-term data, that's fine. That's totally makes sense. But yeah, I hope we'll be able to bridge the gap as far as like trust within the medical community and the community.
Yeah. Thank you, Gabby. I think Joanna needs to step out, so thank you, Joanna, for joining us again. Thank you. We were happy to have you and partaking that conversation with us. So have a good rest of your day, Joanna.
I have a question for Dr. Pierre. If we realize some of our loved ones are dealing with a mental health issue, how can we help without aggravating the issue?
Very good question. Too often when our loved ones, when we find that someone is struggling with mental health issues, culturally, the first thing to do is to tell them, get over this, you're stronger than that, God got you. So we have to find other ways, because yes, we all are Christian. Yes, we know God is able. There are certain times when that's just not enough. That's not what the person needs in that point of time, at that moment. So we need to have certain tactics to be able to approach them in a way that is human, in a way that is non-judgmental, in a way where they will feel supported. If you cannot have the conversation yourself, find someone who is more equipped, who can go about recognizing, okay, you may have this going on, that going on, and these are some paths forward. But going about chastising the person, making the person feel worse, as if you are weak, you don't believe in God enough, you are disappointment, kind of. So we have to go about being thoughtful, talk to the person, be real with the person, do not shame that person, be empathetic, be able to understand without judging, be present. I know oftentimes we want to go into solution finding to take away whatever discomfort or mental trouble the person is having. But at that moment, your job is not to do that. is just to be there to support them and so that you understand. So that's first and foremost, that's the best thing you can do. Show them that you understand and you're there to support. If you are not equipped enough, find other people who can better explain. But that support, that friend, family, supportive person can make a world of a difference. We all know the stigmas that go with mental illnesses. We know the stigmas that go with feeling weak, not feeling like yourself, having a moment, because we're supposed to be strong all the time. We're supposed to be this, that, and the third, but life is happening. There are a lot of things happening. Life is real. Stresses are real, just like mental illnesses are real. So self-care is important, and knowing how to approach that person is all the more important. So it's all about your approach and the way you are supportive, not shaming, not judgmental. So that's key in helping someone who may be experiencing any type of mental disturbance or just trouble.
Thank you.
Any question? Where is Ashley? I'm gonna call you out, Ashley. I mean, what other question? Macleese, I remember we were talking about this. You had a lot of questions. What happened?
Well, in the meantime, I know Lemuel asked Dina to kind of talk about, her symptoms dealing with COVID. So she can kind of like touch base on that, like how she feels.
Yes, Dina, go ahead, please.
You mean after I posted all the answers?
Oh, come. I mean,
I'm not gonna read all that. I'm kidding. No, go ahead, talk to us.
Need to see the chat, so go ahead and speak.
Okay, I have a mask on because I'm in the hospital. Nobody's coming. Basically, from the first day, it's just not feeling well, and my body has been hurting really bad. Like I feel like all my bones, all my muscles hurt, even my skin hurt. The clothes touching my back hurt. And for some reason at night, like for 1 hour, I feel so good, like it's over, there's nothing going on, I'm healed. And then I fall asleep and I wake up again and it just gets worse from that point on. I've been running a temp from 103.6 with Tylenol. It come down to like 100.2 to 99. I'm still running a temp. Last time I checked it, it was like 99 earlier today. It's just that you feel like your body's being invaded by something, like every cell in your body. I was experiencing muscle spasm this morning. I was laying down, like the muscles in my legs and my arms were just spazzing. I've just been taking muscle relaxers, Tylenol, and just dealing with it. Today, I must say, I do feel much better. I don't know if because Tracy went into labor and my body said, you need to get better because you have to. So I'm in a hospital with her and I feel better.
Right.
I mean, it's been an experience. It's been bad. My mom, she's coughing a lot. She can't stop coughing. Nothing. She takes help. She's been taking Mucinex and all the other home remedies that other people has been bringing us, but nothing seems to be helping her. And with my son, he's saying with his eyes, like he can't just look. He have to move his whole head in order for him to look somewhere. Because if he just move his eyes, that hurt a lot. We all kind of have different experiences. With my daughter, she was throwing up, her stomach was hurting. It's just, I think to me, what really bothers me is the fact that when people want to come to support you, but they can't, they have to stay away from you. So everyone is kind of just coming behind the door, dropping off food and running, dropping off medicine and running. I think mentally that really gets to you because people are just like running away from you, even though they want to be around you. That's all. But God is good. I'm feeling much better.
Good, good. I am glad you are feeling much better. I know, like, I am like that too, when even if I'm dying and there is a need, like I'm the one to be there, then I just activate that switch and then I'm a superwoman again. I have to be there. I have to hear what I have to do. And then again, I will crash down afterwards. But yeah, I mean, I'm sorry you're feeling, everybody's feeling. I have a question. How old is your mom? I don't mean to, if you can.
What is she? 58, I want to say.
Any underlying condition? I mean, I know you know of that, you know, just because of her age, you know, that's the age group. And
She does. She have diabetes, high blood pressure, heart problem.
Right.
They did offer her to go into the hospital to receive the antibodies infusion that they have. But you know, what's up, this Haitian parents? She go, oh, it was all trim.
No, this is the thing we're talking about. This is exactly because as you're talking about her, she's coughing nonstop. She already has heart issues, high blood pressure. So she needs to be in, I mean, for me, she needs to be under professional care.
Yeah, I'm trying to convince her, and then all the other people from the church that she's talking to that had COVID are saying, so they're giving her bad advice, and I can't convince her to go do. I say it's a 4-hour procedure. You just go and they will infuse the antibodies. Someone will be there to keep an eye on you and send you home, and then that way your body can fight it better if you have those antibodies.
Take the phone away. Take the phone away.
I mean, she's Haitian. I mean, I don't know. You can't make them do what they don't want to do, but at some point you have to, I don't know. I mean, me, I don't know. Like, I mean, I'm different, you know. I would have just taken her. Like,
she have to agree, and then for them to kind of do the whole process.
No.
She was on the phone with the lady, and she told the lady, "Oh no, I don't think so."
Yeah, I guess she's fine or whatever. But anyway, well, we will continue to pray for you, for her. And I think something I wanted to share about the COVID vaccine. I think we had some good news. Was it this week or last week? Lemuel, I don't know if you read that article where pregnant women who have COVID pass the antibodies to the babies.
Oh, that's good.
The babies come out packed up, ready to fight COVID.
Yeah.
I read that. Was it last week or this? I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, I'm not in that world of pregnancy anymore, but yay, I'm happy for you.
I think there was also something about they noticed if they have it while nursing, they getting it from a milk as well.
Yeah, all good news. I'm like, yay, you know, getting the babies all protected naturally. That's awesome. So
yeah, but that is one of our concerns with Tracy being in labor right now. Like, we all still within our infectious time period, like the baby's coming home. Will that baby be protected? That was one of the concern we had. So thank you for sharing that.
I mean, it all depends. They will run all the tests. You guys have, I mean, you being there, you know, you have to, did you do this? Did you do that? Is the baby okay? You know what I'm saying? Just making sure that everything is in line. The baby has all the vaccine that he needs to have, all the, you emphasize and making sure that everything is fine. You can even, have them run the test to make sure that he's good to go. No, Lemuel, you cannot go without asking question or sharing something. We're about to close anyway.
I'm gonna close the Sabbath. My video back then, coming back.
Okay, we'll be waiting just for you. I was about to close, but I'll wait for you. Where is Ashley? All right, guys, it's been a great discussion. What do you guys have for us? I think it's just me.
Dr. Pierre is still here.
Mikhail is still here.
I'm here.
Yeah, so what else you guys have? It doesn't have to be a question. Any comments, anything you'd like to add or follow up with, anything? We're a little bit over time already, but yeah, thank you for a good discussion, and it was very interactive.
That's literally what I was gonna say, you know. All the panelists that we had today bringing great insights, and they're
Yeah.
based on what, and it's like, it's not someone who's just sharing information based on what they think, or their opinion. It's like facts, based on their practice, what they see in the
Exactly.
real world. So I appreciated that, the fact that they, each and every single one of them, took our time to come and speak with our family. So thank
Yeah,
you.
I think that was the whole idea, just to have someone, because when it comes to talking, anyone can talk. Like I mean, I'm a generalist. Like I was trained, I did emergency physician for a lot of time, but I can talk about a lot of things because I have that generalized knowledge about different topics and diseases. However, I don't like to step in where I don't belong. So I like to allow people in their own field to bring in their expertise and their experiences, because not only it is more factual and truthful, they are the one that are qualified to talk and discuss more about this.
Oops. I wanted to say that
yeah, there she is.
I'm here, but I wanted to say that I appreciate this because my school actually did this. It was a mandatory meeting. It was successful women in biology. And I appreciate us having this as a family because it really helps when it comes through to teaching young women how it would be in the real world when it comes to certain different things that we go through. And having women talk to you is more encouraging than when a man is talking to you, because men are always talking, so no offense to the men in the family.
I think it's the other way around, Ashley.
Okay, anyways.
Keep going. I got you.
But yeah, it's better, it's more encouraging because men, even though they don't notice or they don't know, everything is kind of handed to them, and then we have to fight for everything. So it's just like, I appreciate you guys coming out and speaking to us. Like Nika, grew up with her, and the other ones too. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ash. Anybody else has any last minute comments or last question?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Ash. It's so great to see my baby all grown up. Oh my God. I think, yes, having our young girls seeing us who are doing our best in our field, I think it's encouraging, it's inspiring, it's needed, so that they too can know they got this. They can do even more than we're doing right now. Our job is to educate and empower, and I think having a setup like that really gets that job done and beyond. So great job to you all for coming up with such a great idea. And thank you for having inviting me more than once to be a part of this intimate setting where we can have great discussions and learn from one another. So keep up the great work.
Thank you. We are the blessed ones for having you twice.
Mika, tell Licious I saw him.
Hi, Jackson.
I think she left. Okay, Ed has his hand up.
Yeah, it's not a question. That's, I would say, a special announcement or a special request, because as we get into an end, I was asking everyone to pray for our brother, our friend. Is an alumni, a former student of College Adventist of Cape Haitian. Thirdly, is my husband kidnapped in Haiti, and he's still being kidnapped. So we request special prayer for him. And he's a friend. He is known by pretty much everybody here. Please don't forget in your prayers. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. We will definitely pray for him as we close.
Yes, I want to especially thank the ladies for putting this together. It was very informational. And also, I want to say that we need to have more of these. I hope that it's not the last one, because I think there are a lot more to discuss about. So thank you again, ladies, for putting this together.
Moi, te gon question, oui, mais m'a posé Sonita l'après.
No, you can go ahead.
No, go ahead. Since you already said it here, everybody heard you, so go for it.
M'a posé li après.
Okay, pues niveau.
Okay.
Ma
okay. Okay, m'a dit.
Okay.
Okay, si bay la bon problème, ça veut dire pense qu'il y a plusieurs autres mon problème et nous tendons de lui.
All right, go for it.
C'est concernant la toilette intime. Et en pile monde dit ou pas qu'à mettre savon. OK, nous connaissons nous pas qu'à mettre savon, mais quand il s'agit de fait toilette la même pour monde qui capable, for those who can, ma parler pour monde qui capable faire normalement, is it really the right way to do it by digging inside and out? For those who can, c'est ça fait me dire for those who can, is it really safe, or is it really the good way to do it by digging in?
Yeah, okay, hold on, give me 1 second. Yeah, I was just looking through the chat because I think when you were talking earlier about, women's personal space, shaving and thing, Dr. Gabrielle mentioned avoid douching or douching, I don't know, at all times, like do not go. I'm just not, yes, Wood. Thank you. That's what she said. So
yeah.
I am
but I'm
going
not
to
talking
take
about these things, Sonita.
Yes, I am. No, I was not directly saying to you. I'm going to take a big shot at this question. I'm not an OBGYN. I only rotated right for like 6 months, but yeah, I'm going to take a big shot. I don't think there is any need to dig down because our bodies are made in a way that it is able to clean itself. Because in the first place, logically speaking, why do you think that we secrete? There is a natural secretion down there. There is a natural mucus formation down there. Because our bodies are made, to clean themselves. Like when you realize you have an infection, when the secretion is yellow or green, you didn't go there to dig down for it to come out.
Yeah.
Right? Comes out to let you know that there is something that's not working. Because naturally speaking, the vagina, okay, just like Willow just said, it cleans itself. You know what I mean? Like, let me take the example. When you go to the bathroom to do number 2, do dig down to clean all, no, you just clean and wipe and you move on. And you shower, what? Exactly. So the same thing happens with the vagina. You just go pee, you just wash yourself and dry yourself, and then life goes on. Now we have to pay attention. If you are concerned about that you have to dig down, well, then maybe you need to be talking to a doctor because there may be some concern for any type of infection.
Okay. All right.
That is my answer.
Thank you.
Question.
Vous connaissez dans coutume nous Haïti, bon gens yo montre qui pas vraiment bon. Ça veut pas dire que moi qui fait. Ça veut dire yo toujours a dire faut nettoyer bien, faut faire bailan bien. I mean, if you can, you have to do it.
No, you don't have to dig down inside. This is what I'm gonna say. Because this is where I'm coming. I'm coming from a prevention, infections prevention things. Because your vagina, in women, our vaginas are very close to our anuses. So there is a way, like even when you go to the OBGYN and you're going to give a urine sample, there is a way to wipe yourself. There is a way to wash yourself. So number one, if you are washing yourself or wiping, don't wash yourself down up.
Yeah.
Always go up, down.
Down. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And water, when you are in Haiti, I remember someone putting the water in a vase and give it to me, sit down, cup of the water, get the water, wash up, get the water, wash up. That is not washing yourself up. Because the very first water you washed up, you are using it again to washing yourself up. That's not good. So my recommendation is, get the water from a cup or from a bottle and make for de l'eau à sortir en lait pour les descendre en bas. And when you are using your hands, make sure that you are cleaning up, down, and not taking things down close to your anus up to your vagina, because it's open. You can bring anything that is not supposed to be there from your anus or from other things, sweating or your body. Because remember, our skin, even our own skin, has natural bacteria level that are not supposed to be inside of our bloodstreams.
Yeah.
So if we just shave now, we just wake up all those streptococcus or bacillus, whatever is in our skin. And which is why if you're going to shave, we recommend washing or bathing before you shave. Because once you shave, all your pores are open, all those staphylococcus are ready, and then you go shower, so you wash all of them and you bring them into your pores, which is why sometimes you have those kind of infections, like Dr. Gabby mentioned, like the follicles of your skin, it becomes, you can get abcès là-dedans, ou ka gen pus là-dedans, parce que ou prend bactérie fouet là-dedans konye.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? All right, Ashley had a question.
Wilu answered it for me. I was just asking if we don't fait toilette.
Yes, you do fait toilette, but you don't put your finger inside to fait toilette.
Right.
You just use here.
Okay.
You use your palm, there is a question. I remember when we see women with long nails, and our first question, culturally speaking, oh my God, ou pas fait toilette, ou petit, pour que ça sonne good. No, you don't put those nails in. You just use these to fait toilette.
I never knew that, because grandma didn't teach me that one.
Show me
grandma
how.
will teach you what they taught her, and so
like we don't dig in. We just do like the palm. But my grandma, my father's side told me to dig in. But my grandma,
okay.
It's okay.
Yeah,
because she was teaching you what she was taught.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
They pass on what they know. So this is the whole reason I'm happy we're having this discussion, because there are so many things in our culture, in our background, that we need to unlearn so we can learn the new ones, the correct ways to do things. So, all right, we're coming close to 7 o'clock.
Is it me?
I think we have to close. Unless anybody has another question or comment, we will be closing.
Thank you so much, Mika. We really appreciate you being here again.
And speaking with us for such a long time.
Yes. I know she loves us, but I don't know.
You all are special people. So it's my pleasure, really. Thank you for having me.
By the way, when are you coming over again?
I don't know. I need to. Last time I was close, we couldn't meet. I need to.
You do need to. You guys need to.
Yes, let's make that happen soon.
All right.
Sure.
All right. Thank you, Ed, for the feedback. All right, let's close in prayer. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mika. Thank you, all the panelists, even if they're not here again. You can tell them we thank them. We want to thank everybody, especially everyone in the family, for giving the women a platform where we can come on and, share ideas and have good, relevant discussions that is going to help not only the women, but the whole family and all the men and kids as a whole to grow and develop. And I think we have gone closer together through those discussions and through the worship this month as we celebrated Women's Month. Let's just close in prayer. And so the Lord can be with us throughout this week. Dear gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for your love. We thank you for your grace and mercy that continually renews towards each and every one of us daily and moment by moment. We thank you for being with us. We thank you for the bread of life. We thank you for the blessing of education and knowledge. We thank you for allowing us to have wisdom and to have, some sort of level of knowledge that we can share, with our families, our friends, and helping each other learn and grow together as we face, different things and navigate this world and this life together. We thank you for being with us. And Father, we want to take a special moment to plead on behalf of our friend, Frednell. We know our country is going through a very, very deep crisis right now, God. As human beings, we don't see a solution. We do not see a way out. And we are tired. We are overwhelmed of seeing our people, our families, our children, our fathers and grandfathers die unnecessarily and living in cruel conditions, God. On behalf of this whole family, I want to pray. I want to ask that you please deliver your people, that you please renew their mind, that you please free them from themselves and give us a new renewed mind and a renewed spirit where we can come together as a nation, just like everyone else, and help us to, navigate and fight, but not against one another, but together for a better nation, instead of hurting continually our brothers and our sisters. We want to ask that your angels and your presence be with Frednell wherever he is, and that whoever has him may feel your presence with him in a way that instead of hurting them, they can they may desire what that he has that has protected him. Please, God, be with his family, be with his I don't know if he has children, but be with his families and all his relatives. Give them peace, give them strength, and give them courage and hope as they navigate this very difficult situation. And each of us, give us a blessing, give us a miracle this week as we enter a new week already. Thank you for a wonderful Sabbath of rest that you have allowed us to have. And even though we will depart right now from this meeting, but may your presence never depart from us. Bless us, guide us, protect us, be with us throughout this week in everything that we have to do and every task and responsibilities. Help us to be reminded of all the good things that we talked about today and throughout this month, and how to take care of ourselves so we can better take care of all our loved ones, and how can we better take care of ourselves so we can better prepare ourselves for the mission that you have given us as women. Be with us, bless us, guide us, protect us, and continue to sustain us. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, everyone, for making this happen.
And everybody, Friday night, we have K Voices for our worship, Friday night worship. And Saturday, who's responsible for Saturday again? Give me a second so I can remember. I forgot to mention that this morning. Who's responsible
We're back
for Saturday morning service? Do you remember? Let me see. Give me a second. Saturday, April
Eva Ben.
7. April 9. It should be UB actually. I haven't seen her in a while. Maybe we need to do it ourselves. Yeah, UB. Will you have UB's number? Can you send it to me, please?
I'll double check before I say yes. I feel like
I have it.
You have it? All right. Send it to me so I can remind her that she's responsible for Sabbath. Yes. Samedi à 9.
Nous va manquer mes filles, papa. Nous confions encore.
MS.
Yes.
Le ou pas online encore ou à bon minute, ok?
Ok, all right. Pas de problème. M'abrelo. Comme fini là.
Ou abrelo toujours MS.
Non. So ça aide so dit, même pas information online, ok?
Ok, go ahead.
Take it off.
Yeah, pas de problème.
Yeah, okay.
Hold up. Samedi.
Do we have to start the recording?
Samedi, tu vas Jema.
Yes.
Samedi, tu vas Jema. It's not you be the 9. 9th, Friday the 9th. It's you be.
James, ou te di premier ay ou tapon?
No.
No. Après me dame premier ça ba ou même.
Huh? Yeah.
James, no still on YouTube ou bien?
Yeah, I'm taking it off now.
Okay.
Moi, me connais get